strategic competition with China, expects the panel to elevate the importance of selling military equipment to Taiwan. Congressman Mike Gallagher says it's important also to include members who know about international finance.
That's absolutely essential because probably the most complex aspect of this competition with the CCP is the idea of selective economic and financial decoupling.
Gallagher also told the Salem Radio Network how Speaker McCarthy selected members for this committee.
I think the Speaker looked at a few things. One is demonstrated competence on the issue set, a proven track record of taking this competition with the Chinese Communist Party seriously, having a legislative record of doing so.
Japan today successfully launched a rocket carrying a government intelligence gathering satellite on a mission to watch movements at military sites in North Korea. News and analysis at townhall.com. Germany's defense minister has said Ukrainian troops will be trained to use advanced Western supply tanks within days. Here's Karen Chamis.
Boris Pistorius said Ukrainian crews will start learning how to operate the German-made Leopard 2 tanks at a training site in Germany by the end of January. Responding to a reporter's question, Pistorius said he expects the tanks themselves to arrive in Ukraine soon.
At the end of the first quarter of the year. And that's what we are going to do.
Meanwhile, air raid sirens wailed throughout Ukraine. Ukrainian officials confirmed that Russia has launched a wave of missile and self-exploding drone attacks on the country. I'm Karen Chamas.
A Democratic National Committee panel has voted to give New Hampshire and Georgia more time to make changes that would allow both to be a part of a revamped group of 5 states leading off the party's presidential primary starting next year. More at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The devil listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Yes, welcome to it.
It's kind of sexy, but not quite Friday sexy.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, all right.
I mean, it's still...
We can work with this day.
Yeah.
So, happy Thursday.
I like it.
Yeah. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It's going to be another chilly one. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's going to be a lot like yesterday. 40s. I think our 44 officially.
It's not terrible.
Some of you might be experiencing some patchy freezing fog.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in some of the rural parts of the area.
It just roams the street.
Yes.
Just one patch. Sometimes it connects with another patch, and then they patch up and keep rolling.
Like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Yeah. The most powerful freezing fogs travel in patches.
That's right. But man, when they have an ice cream social, the place to be.
Boy, is it ever.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Yeah, buddy.
Hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Got a full slate. We're gonna have to get going here pretty quick. We're gonna replay an interview this hour. Last Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour, had a great conversation with from the district attorney's office, Hunter Spindle, who's an assistant DA, and Dennis Kentai with the DA's office, and had a great conversation, just kind of just talking a little bit about their job and what they do, and kind of a lot of good information for the public there. So we're going to play that this hour. Next hour, we're going to have the folks from the ENMUR STEM Lab join us. Heidi Weeks, the lab director, and Coy Spear, who heads up a lot of the drone technology classes and things there at ENMUR, are going to join us and kind of be like, what is the STEM Lab? Well, we're going to
find out.
We're going to learn you. We're going to learn you all about it. So, and then the 9 o'clock hour, I screwed up, so we'll see. We may have friends at Bitter Lake.
Oh, okay.
But if they didn't get my memo, they may not. So we'll see. So we'll find out. But hopefully they'll get to join us and we'll get an update from them out at Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge. So plus we'll have all of your features that include news, local and national. Of course, your Town Hall Wall Street business update and whatever else we can come up with for today's show. Real quick, I got to mention, I saw on the internets yesterday, I think it's KOB did a story about this.
Oh, yeah.
Roswell, your criminals might get national famous, folks. On Patrol Live, which we've talked about ad nauseum on this show, or at least I have.
Right.
Live PD was kind of the first
predecessor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They are in talks with the city of Roswell to come here and film and do that. Bernalillo County's on a hiatus right now from that.
Right.
From what I saw in the story, it sounds like they got a new sheriff this past election, so they're giving the sheriff a chance to settle in, get his affairs in order, and then let's kick. That's the understanding I got. But they're reaching out to Roswell, and the story, it's on KOB. You could check it out. Basically, Janine Cornbest, city councilor, she was one of, I think she's on one of the committees, head of one of the committees that deals with this, and that's why she gave her thoughts on it. Police chief Phil Smith, and he kind of he was saying in the article that there's like 3 different entities that have come to approach Roswell to do this.
Now, are they for it?
From the article's impersonation, I think the police chief is this time because of some of the parameters.
Sure.
Counselor Janine Cornbest, I don't think is.
It seems like there's a reason they would have picked us. Like, is our crime specifically worse? And honestly, I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think there's twofold.
Is our crime worse than other places?
Twofold.
Or more interesting?
It's twofold here.
Okay.
Yes, that's part of it. Roswell's interesting. But the other part of this is On Patrol Live is on a network called Reels.
Right.
Reels is a New Mexico-based company. Matter of factly, in the article, the same company that owns KOB also owns Reels.
Oh.
So methinks the brass is here. They know Roswell's on the radar. So logistically, it might be easier for them to set up shop here in Roswell.
Makes sense.
So I don't know if it's all just about crime and a cocktail of, hey, they're pretty wild down there. Couple it with the fact that, by the way, they're really in our network of something we can set up pretty easily. So, but from the story I saw, it basically said it's up in the process now. It's going through the committees, and we'll see. It's going
I'd
to the
imagine
next
probably
step.
a decent influx of cash for the RPD.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how monies work and all that, but there's a lot of it's with the rules on what they can do, and like they can't go into your house, they can't, the rules on what the cameras can and cannot do.
Right.
Control of the content that gets out there. I think Roswell PD has more control of that on this one, hence the reason they're a little bit more receptive to do it this time. But there's other rules in there too. So and check out the article. But I think I personally, I'm okay with it. Because I watch that show regularly enough to see it's a good thing to get the public to understand what law enforcement goes through, and B, seeing from their perspective and saying, hey, maybe when I get pulled over next time, I won't do some of the dumb things I saw on Patrol Live, and I might live to talk about it. And, have a I wouldn't say pleasant experience, but not a bad one.
But a less than unpleasant experience.
Exactly. So I'm all for all that. So we'll see what happens. It's going to go through the gauntlet here in the city, and then at some point we'll find out here in the next probably month or two whether it's going to happen. But we'll see.
That'd be fun.
More to come.
There you go
on that one.
Talk about must see TV.
Yeah, I hope I ain't gonna lie because I like watching it more when I know there's police departments that I can associate myself with. Like, I got into Live PD, which is the first, like I said earlier, the first round of this show, and I got so into it because Calvert County, Maryland, a county where my sisters live, and it was on the show. So I was like, oh, cool. And then of course Bernalillo County shows up in there, and a couple. So I'm like, so the fact that it might be here in Roswell.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of
I'd definitely be intrigued.
Excited. To be honest, if someone would have said, who do you think is going to follow, the sheriff's department or the RPD? I would have bet dollars to donuts. They would have bet it would have been the sheriff's department, not the RPD. But I stand corrected.
Well,
so. All right, it is 7:13. More to come on that little story, but I just want to put it on people's radar. I saw it yesterday.
Jerry?
Yeah. So just saying, might want to mind your P's and Q's unless you want to be on Police Blotter worldwide.
Phone calls.
You'll be Twitter fodder forever. All right, it is 7:14. Let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We're in pretty good shape through the upcoming weekend. Still cool today, but temperatures will be on a warming trend starting tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds through about midday, and then sunny this afternoon. Looks like low 40s on our high. Upper teens and clear for the overnight hours, warming into the low 50s with a sunny day coming up on Friday. Then sunshine for the weekend. We're in the upper 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, 26 degrees. Wish I had better news, but I don't. Humidity is at 88%. Feel like we should reverse that. But anyway, that's how it normally is. But not today. Winds out of the north at 6 miles per hour. We do have a ever so slight chance of flurries this morning. Nothing to get alarmed about. Nothing to get nervous about. Just something a little pretty to look at on your way to work. Could see some patchy fog a little bit here this morning as well. Partly sunny today, gradually getting clear and sunny. High of only 44 today with winds out of the south 5 miles per hour. Mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 19. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, sunny, 53 for a high. So we will warm up a little bit tomorrow. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clear skies, overnight low of 22. And then get ready to party. Saturday, sunny and 58. Woo! Almost short sleeve weather. Winds out of the northwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunny and 55 on Sunday. All right, it is 15 minutes after 7. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to play our interview with the district attorney's office. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
I read a quote once that said, when you blame others, you give up your power to change. Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smotherman for The Joy of Marriage.
We all want to play the victim at times. It even feels good to feel sorry for ourselves, but that puts a lid on our life. It stunts our growth, it damages our marriages, and if you have children, it can even hurt them.
It can seem like a daunting task to take responsibility for our actions. But the Bible says in Philippians 4:13, we can do everything through Christ who gives us strength.
If you've never experienced the love of God, then you don't know your true potential and don't realize how good God is. When you're feeling like a victim, turn to God. He'll give you the strength to move beyond yourself and help you have a victorious marriage.
If you have any questions or would like further information about the Joy of Marriage Ministry, please go to jomconference.com.
Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I know you've heard me say that you can trust Trustmark, but I want you to know what that looks like in real life. A few years ago, we installed a beautiful new roof for an older woman who was recently widowed. She was an artist and colors were really important to her. So when she said she didn't like the color of a brand new roof, we took that seriously. She had picked the color and signed off on it, but I just kept thinking, if she's going to walk into her house every day and be disappointed, then we're just going to redo it. So we did. We ripped that beautiful new roof off and replaced it with a slightly different color, and she was thrilled. Yes, it cost us quite a bit of money to make her happy, but I want you to know you can trust Trustmark to make it exactly right every time. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. U-Haul is the world's largest advertiser in the Yellow Pages. Too bad millennials don't know what the Yellow Pages are. Here's Mike Winters.
I love doing that to that guy. Good morning. It is 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the District Attorney's Office, I keep saying Deputy District Attorney. That's where we'll get it out, right? Hunter Spindle and also Dennis Kentai joining us as well. Good morning, guys. Officially. How's everybody doing today? Good? Good. A little tired? I imagine you guys are. This is something that you got. Everyone watches the news. You see, there's so much going on in the court systems and stuff. But you guys have to wade through all that and stuff and go through. So yes, the job's a government job, the 9-to-5er type thing. But you guys are just inundated with so much work that it really you're spending your day triaging. I kind of get the feeling sometimes.
In a lot of ways. I mean, most of my attorneys, and I say my attorney because I technically run the office.
Gotcha.
While I am the deputy district attorney, I'm technically the acting chief of the Roswell office.
Gotcha.
But most of my attorneys have 200 cases plus, and that's not including our intake numbers, which are large to say the least.
Right. I would imagine, and so this is we've talked about when we started doing our segments here.
Yep.
When Dennis kind of said this is why I was brought into the DA's office to help kind of triage, let's put a priority list on our cases we need to do something about right now and ones we can kind of wait on a little bit or decide whether it's a prosecutable case or not.
Right, and I have Dennis looking into cases both for me, for the district attorney, Diana Luce, as well as the chief deputy district attorney in Carlsbad. His name is Patrick Melvin.
Okay.
He has some cases up here as well.
Okay.
Dennis has kind of been looking into those cases, and he helps me a lot since I'm the primary prosecutor on all of our homicides in Roswell now. I have him kind of being my go-to man on, I need a case brief on this.
Like yesterday. All right, to do a movie lawyer comparison. If you've ever seen, now it's a John Grisham, A Time to Kill.
Okay.
Time to Kill. We all know that movie. Do you know that movie?
No.
Time to Kill.
Oh wow, it's a good movie.
So then he'll answer this question. So is Dennis? So if Matthew McConaughey's you,
right?
Is he like Sandra Bullock?
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Like the one who's gathered.
Definitely not as pretty.
Let's not go there. This is not right.
Kidding.
I'd be happy to have Sandra Bullock in my office.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We're moving on.
But joking aside, but like that person that kind of gets you information, helps us.
He's an investigator essentially now for our office.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Jokes aside,
is that your official title? I don't even know if that's
no,
your official title.
I'm a program specialist. Is the official title.
Which means he can do everything.
Right, yeah.
He does everything for
you. Just wherever there's a hole in the wall, you kind of fill that hole.
The business card says, special programs under my name, which just kind of has an MIB kind of tone to it.
It means whatever we need him for.
Yeah, basically whatever he wants me to do. Yeah. Go here, go there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Go forth.
But we joke. I'm kind of curious. Like you mentioned, you're kind of in charge of your batch of lawyers in this district.
Correct.
Here. Can you kind of explain and break that down? How everything's kind of categorized and what districts where and who's under whose chain of command? I know for us it gets confusing. You're like, I see a district attorney. He's like, well, how many of you are there?
Right.
Kind of maybe put that in layman's terms for a little bit, if you don't mind.
So Dinah Luce is the district attorney. Under her, she has 3 offices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most jurisdictions in New Mexico aren't multi-county, whereas the 5th Judicial District Attorney's Office is.
Are we one of the only ones, or is
there's a couple. There's not very many. But
I'm guessing it's based on population and
and size. So the 5th Judicial District, which also includes the courts as well, has Eddy County, Lee County, and Chavis County, all under it.
Okay.
So Diana Luce, the district attorney, is in charge of all three offices. She takes cases in all three offices.
Okay.
And then she has deputies beneath her.
Okay.
Patrick Melvin is the chief deputy district attorney. He is in Carlsbad.
Okay.
It used to be that there was a chief in every office.
Okay.
Well, right now we have one chief. Not to say that couldn't change in the near future.
Sure. But I imagine there's a deputy chief or someone that answers to you in each office. Correct.
Right. So
Gotcha.
I'm the deputy in this office. I'm the only
Gotcha.
one in this office currently.
Gotcha.
From my understanding, we will be getting another one at some point, and some titles may change around with
Gotcha.
that. But there's another deputy below Patrick Melvin in the Carlsbad office.
Okay.
There's also a deputy who's in charge of Lee County's office.
Okay.
As well. There's no chief deputy over there, and there's no chief deputy here in Chavis.
Okay.
But right now, that is in flux because of the heavy turnover
Sure.
that the office constantly
Well, I
has.
would imagine too that just based on populations, you probably have more attorneys and things in this office because of probably more caseload and stuff than say the Eddie. Or am I way off there? I
Well,
just figure.
it used to be.
Okay, is it the balance shifting a little bit?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
So right now, Lee County actually has more attorneys.
Hobbs, yeah, I didn't think about that with
yeah.
the oil boom and everything else.
Well,
Yeah.
realistically, I think it's just how it ended up falling in the sense that the attorneys that were in this office, we had heavy turnover.
Okay.
I mean, I was in Carlsbad originally, and when we had 3 people leave essentially in this office all at one time, I mean, back to back to back, Diana talked to me and she said, I want you to go up here and help lead this office. Now, originally it was going to be me and another deputy kind of tag teaming. Well, she accepted another job in another county, another district
So
about a month afterwards.
So you got a big extra pile of extra help and a workload there on you. So,
It all just kind of dumped on me. I was like, okay. She's like, yep, you're the man in charge now, so you're the guy. And I'm like, all right.
And you've got how many guys and gals working for you? That's guys and gals.
I think now, if I remember correctly, there's 5 below me.
Okay.
And you should have.
We should have 7.
Okay. So any attorneys looking for jobs out there, the district attorney's office is hiring.
Oh, we definitely need that. I think my office is technically it's 1.5 people low because we have a part-time district attorney currently.
Gotcha.
So theoretically, we need one more full-time position in Roswell.
Gotcha.
Eddy County in Carlsbad on the other hand has like 4 open spots.
So they really could use some attorneys down there.
Right. Well, and when I moved up here, Anne Marie Lewis, Judge Anne Marie Lewis, she became judge out of that office. She and I worked hand in hand together, tag team on a lot of cases. And then basically I took this job and she became judge and they went down 2 people.
Sure.
Like that.
And just to get kind of philosophical here just a little bit, I mean, is it just a lack of bodies? Like we don't have enough qualified people to fill these positions? Is that an issue, or is it just people are finding better opportunities? Because let's face it, if you're a lawyer, and I would imagine it's kind of like private practice, more money. You know what I mean? You're battling. People get their law degree and they're saying I can make more money in the private sector than in the government sector. So I imagine you're combating that anyway.
Right.
But
the biggest issue I would say here is probably that there's only one law school, for instance.
Okay.
So there's not enough
training opportunities.
Not enough people coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those that do come out of the law school in New Mexico want to stay in Bernalillo, Santa Fe, Albuquerque
They want to come
area.
down to the sticks.
Right. Yeah, or go to Las Cruces, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we get people coming from Texas and myself, I came from Virginia.
Yeah.
And granted, I grew up in a small town, so this wasn't a big change for me.
It's almost something like, how like within the healthcare industry, how they're always bringing
Same thing.
I mean,
right.
Do we have to do the same thing in the legal world? Say, hey, let's go to law schools and say, come young lawyers, come see our community and come set up shop in our areas and come work for our city.
Well, and that's what we have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, one of our the Patrick Melvin, actually, the chief deputy in Carlsbad, it's either this week or next week, I can't remember exactly. he's going out to D.C. to try to recruit people.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, we need prosecutors here. And
hey, just tell them, do you like driving in this garbage that you call D.C.? You know, you're from D.C.
Yeah.
You've spent enough time there to know. That would be my selling point. Do you hate this?
Well, that was one of the big selling points for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then, of course, you know, the private sector job, in a small town, you can really make good money.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, I can't really speak about in Albuquerque, but when I worked privately as a defense attorney before I entered and started working for the state, I can tell you that some parts of the state are still good old boy systems in the sense, you know, it's like if you don't have the name recognition, you know, you don't get that.
Sure.
Those clients to come in.
Sure, absolutely.
So you can struggle. I know for me, like I was a really good defense attorney, but I struggled to get the clients because I was a brand new attorney.
Sure. Well, yeah, you're all fighting for the same nut, so to speak. So, and let's face it, you got all your ROM bills and everybody throwing their $50,000 in commercial advertising at you, and that's how people think, and they're like, "Oh, I'm in trouble. Give me that ROM bill guy." You know?
I hated it too. I hated it.
That's what we're talking about. On the prosecution side, though, I'm kind of curious too because obviously there's that the grass is greener syndrome, and that's one of the things you guys always fight as attorneys, but I would imagine too is the emotional side of it too. 'Cause I can't imagine you guys. I mean, you're in law enforcement and the things you've seen over the years, but as a DA, there's cases that probably make your stomach turn sometimes, and the things that you see and hear and the evidence. I think everyone's not cut out for that kind of thing. So
no.
How much does that come into play where it's like, I'm a prosecutor, but burnout is a huge issue. Is that a big problem as a prosecutor?
It is. Well, burnout is especially apparent for most prosecutors. Sure. It takes, I would say, it takes a different type of person to be able to separate the emotion from what you say I legally can and cannot do.
Right.
You know, my job as a prosecutor, emotion needs to be in there a little bit, but that's more for trial. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that I have to do, and I try to tell my prosecutors is, be empathetic. Try when you're talking to victims, but you got to try to leave emotion as much as possible out of it.
Sure.
And when it plays well for a jury, it's really great for that. But when I'm talking to a family who has whose family member's been killed or someone's been raped or something of that sort, those are really hard topics to talk with someone. So I have to address it and be like, look, you try to empathize as much as possible, but try to separate and compartmentalize the emotion and look at it like, this is what the evidence shows. This is what the case law says. This is what the statute says. What am I legally able to do? Does it fit? Can I, is this a case I can go to trial? Is the evidence...
Well, and the emotion side, I imagine, is more important in the sentencing. Whereas, when we're talking about are you guilty or not guilty of a crime, it's really night and day. It's like, does the evidence support that? And regardless how you feel about the evidence, if the evidence supports it, then you got to prosecute. Now, what kind of sentences this person get? That's where I think the emotion comes in. Is this a weird, unique thing, or is this something where this guy's going to keep doing this or whatever? You know what I mean?
Well, the guidelines on sentencing are pretty much completely up to the judge. He's going to make the pitch. But this is what I wanted to talk about is that he's got the hardest job. Mm-hmm. My role, I do a review of the case, and I'll give it to Hunter or Tim or one of the ones, and sometimes it's not there. Mm-hmm. Right. Sometimes I'll go in, and Hunter and I have had these discussions, and I'll say, this isn't going to make it. I don't have to tell the family. He gets to do that.
And it's hard to explain to them.
And that family wants the perpetrator drawn and quartered on the county lawn.
Right. Yeah.
That's the hardest part of
my job. And you don't blame them because you feel and empathize with them.
Right. But this is New Mexico, and it's beyond a reasonable doubt is a serious hurdle to get over. Now, we've got great people here, and I'm saying we got good investigators. I'm very impressed with the PD and the SO and state police. but they can't create miracles.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's just not there.
Sure.
And
that's the beauty of this country's legal system. You have to be proved to be on them, and that's how it should be, and that's a good thing. Yes, it does stink when you know and looks like a duck, talks like a duck, but if the evidence can't support it, you are not guilty, and you hate it sometimes, but thank God that's how we have it, because it could be a lot worse.
And the only caveat I would say to that is New Mexico, however, though, is extremely defendant friendly. The laws here are. So, and that makes my job even harder because, you know, looking at most states in the country, some of the laws here are incredibly laxed in the sense of what I can do as a prosecutor.
Sure.
You know, so some people will be like, well, I don't understand. This is what this is. And I'm like, yeah, if it happened in Texas, this would be a different story.
Sure.
But the case law here doesn't, you know, I'm constrained by it.
And I would argue, and this is a philosophical discussion we could have any, but I would argue that by default, the criminals know this. People that are constantly doing criminal acts know.
I think they sense it.
They're not going to really punish me. Yeah, I might spend a couple months in jail.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be back. Hell, I'm going to kill somebody, and I'll get arrested. More likely, I'll be out tomorrow.
Well, it
We're
takes
going
the
to
point
trial.
is when you have, I mean, there's a lot of drugs in this area,
Sure.
and that's why we have what's called a HIDTA position, the high intensity drug trafficking area attorney. We have an attorney that is specifically just for that.
Sure.
In all of our offices, and we get federal and state funding that goes towards that. And I've literally listened to tapes, you know, phone calls or talking to, you know, other people saying, oh, well, I run drugs through here because I'll do like 4 years and it's fine.
Yeah.
Because New Mexico's easy.
The juice is worth the squeeze there. They're like, the punishment is not
light.
that compared to the money I'm making. I'm certainly not going to live this large working at Allsup's. You know what I mean? And that's the mindset. The risk is worth the money then to them,
Right.
or whatever. And quite frankly, they ain't wrong. If they're going to, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that what they're doing is good, but if no one's going to lock them up and punish them, then why should they stop?
And the sad thing is it bleeds over into violent crimes too.
Sure.
The other huge area I would argue is domestic violence. And we talked a little bit about this with Gina, is that these victims who come in and then through whatever means the perpetrator gets to them and they back off and it escalates. And that's, I would argue, one of the most heartbreaking situations because it can escalate to the worst situation.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And we have, and excuse me for kind of saying this, but sometimes we have people who have called law enforcement multiple times.
Sure.
And you get to a point where I see their name and I'm like, well, that person's not going to show up.
Sure.
And you hate to feel that way, but you almost get a little jaded on it.
Absolutely.
And you're like, well, this person, you know, cries wolf every time, but and there's evidence of it, but she is unwilling to testify or he's unwilling to testify. And then, you know, it makes our jobs hard because especially when you're trying to deal with like batteries and domestic violence situations.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like we believe, and I'm a strong believer of this, domestic violence can lead, and a lot of times does lead to homicides, murder
Absolutely.
of a loved one, that
It's
sort
a
of thing.
cycle. Domestic
Right.
violence is a cycle. And,
Right.
And if you were an abuser or abused as a kid, the likelihood of you being abused as an adult is very high. And you know, it's an endless cycle here, and it goes right into what you're talking about. If they're doing this now, more than likely they're going to do something more heinous down the road.
Right.
I would say a vast majority of our homicides involve individuals who have some kind of relationship. There's occasional ones where there's an interaction that just came up, but most of the time it's going to be somebody, sibling, spousal relationship.
Especially
something
more now, because it used to be probably a little bit more drug related, but now it's kind of shifted slightly more to domestic violence situations. At least the numbers that we've had recently.
Sure. And you know, I would imagine the times we live and all that is contributing to that mental health, with COVID. And this is something that, we haven't really even touched on yet, is the fact that you guys are way playing catch up from COVID still. That's kind of, crime doesn't say, oh, sorry, we'll lay off for a little bit while you get caught up on the caseload here.
Right.
And
crime doesn't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And then so you've got a bunch of people holed up in homes and things for a couple of years, and they get tired of looking at each other. Alcohol, drugs, whatever gets into play, and fights happen. Things, it's a recipe for disaster. And we've had a much higher proclivity of this stuff happening just because of COVID and things like that. And I would even argue, even though we're not all holed up in houses anymore, that still carried over. That mindset, the people,
it did.
And the courts got, you want to touch
bunched up. The court, I mean, you got to think about it. For a certain amount of time, courts weren't hearing cases at all. Then when they did, everything was over video, and most stuff is still over video.
We all remember I'm Not a Cat.
right. Which is one of the funniest videos ever. Yeah. Your Honor, I'm not a cat. I know you're not a cat. I couldn't tell you how many relatives I had send that to me. Like, have you seen this? I'm like, yes, I have.
Just a time or two.
I've watched it like 9 times now, still laughing at it. But yeah, I mean, it bunched it up, and we had cases that we just couldn't go, so they just kept moving, know? And of course, like you said earlier, crime doesn't stop, so we kept having more cases come in. Now, COVID did allow numbers to slightly reduce for your typical burglaries and larcenies and that sort of instance.
Everybody's in home, they're not out on the streets breaking into things.
Right. But there was a lot of DUIs and a lot of domestic violence.
Yeah.
And drug use.
What I would argue is, well, none of it's good, but I would argue is a little worse than someone breaking your home. That you can replace stuff.
Right.
You can't replace people. But that's another argument for another day. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with now. And we're
still feeling those repercussions.
Yeah.
And it's probably take another couple years to really get through the backlog of what was caused by COVID.
I want to ask y'all's opinions, just because we're right now in the legislative session. If you guys had a wish list or things that you could say, please address these, what would be just even the one seed? Like, I'm sure there's a laundry list, but like the top one, something that they said, if y'all did nothing else this next 60 days, please do this for us. What is there anything that you?
I would get rid of the catch and release system from the quote unquote bail reform that we had. I mean, it's and I don't want to go on a whole diatribe about it, but
sure.
I mean, it's essentially become a catch and release system. I mean, for us to try to get people, that may be dangerous, the courts have basically said no. And the legislature has said you have to do this process in order to have someone be held pending trial.
Right.
We have to go through what's called a pretrial detention. I have to file a motion and have to basically put on a mini trial in front of the judge in order for a guy to get held.
Really?
And they don't look at it as he's a flight risk. They're like, that can go to it, but what matters is he a danger to the community? Well, I mean, we have the case law, and judges have literally allowed people out that were charged with homicide.
Yeah, that's
with murder.
Crazy. Yes.
And basically saying, there's a more least restrictive means because this person has no criminal history. We can put a GPS monitor on and let it go out because it's not.
Yeah, but can you stop the punch in time or whatever that person did? No.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
You can when they're in jail.
Right. And then, of course, if I ask for a secured bond on something, I have to give good reason for it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people, they post bond or a judge gives them OR bond because that's what they have to do based off of the legislature and the Supreme Court. And next thing I know, that person's reoffending, and I gotta, we have multiple defendants who have multiple cases because they get arrested, they get charged, they go out and do something again, and they're like, that's all right. I mean, sometimes I remember
there's repercussions really at the end of the day. There really isn't.
Right. They're like, I'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or a couple days.
There's one that's the name we will not mention, but it's in both of our heads. Has had 3 felon in possession charges, including one with drugs. The 4th offense is a pending murder.
Holy mackerel.
So there's 4 felon in possession of crimes that this individual...
Possession of a firearm. So
If we did what we're supposed to do to this guy the first time, there wouldn't have been a murder the 4th time. You know, and
that's the third time.
Yeah,
for crying out loud.
Already a convicted felon found with a firearm and constantly do it. And we do pretrial detention hearings on. They're like, no, it's not a danger.
And then we go back to the question at the beginning: why are you having trouble keeping prosecutors in the courts?
Well, and they get burned out.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you want to do that? Why beat your head against the wall, knowing that full well your work is probably going to be for naught?
And of course, it's a thankless job too.
Yeah.
I mean, the vast majority of the time, most people don't end up happy with my office.
Sure.
What they, and I don't mean to sound that way, but it's like, the brunt of anger that comes from people is not at law enforcement.
They wanted you to do more. You did too much.
Right. Exactly.
You didn't do enough for the victim.
And then I talk about case law, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't care about it." And I'm like, "No, I legally can't do anything.
Yeah.
I can try to fight for a stronger sentence, that sort of stuff."
This is that part where I had to go to law school for and get my know and understand and interpret
and have
the
a
law.
ton of debt for.
Yeah.
But he is, and his team, they are the voices of the victims.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the other things.
That's what I was going to say. I was about to finish off. Thank God they're there. And thank God.
Yes.
And please tell this to every one of your deputy attorneys that it's a thankless job, but me and the silent majority are very, very thankful that those folks are doing their job every day.
Yeah.
Because, sure, it's not perfect, but it's the best we got, and it's the we talk about the thin blue line in law enforcement. It's the thin line in the legal world of chaos versus law and order. So
an area that I would like to see us addressed deals with mental health and competency and then dangerousness.
Yes.
This is another struggle these guys fight with. I mean, there's been some type of evaluation and a quote expert. Sorry, that was a philosophical. Determines that this individual is not competent. So they get released unless these guys can prove dangerousness, which is another trial, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. And it has to fit a statute specifically, and if it doesn't,
And 2 of the recent fatalities in this area were involved individuals who were released and within hours had engaged in behavior which resulted in their death.
Wow.
Which is sad, because I mean it's
like it could have been avoided. However,
yes,
according to the law right now, we couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
Right. So
and whether the action taken by the other
catch-22.
Yeah. Whether the actions taken by the other parties are appropriate or not is outside of what we're not going to discuss right now. But that just struck me as being incredibly frustrating that these individuals who are now deceased were not helped by the system, and there's countless others. That the whole mental health and the failure to be able to push these people into a treatment. They don't necessarily need to be in jail. They need to be in a treatment program because we've got...
And that's nationally. That's something we as a country need to figure out. That's not just a New Mexico thing.
But it's incredibly bad here.
Yes, it is.
Like misdemeanors. If you're not competent, there's an individual whose name is in my head, you should see the number of cases it goes on by the
But none of them are inherently dangerous. Or
none of them are dangerous.
So
this continuous things like public nudity or defecating or harassing people, they're all misdemeanors, but bam, he's not competent, and so...
And this is where we need our legislator do, like we just legalized cannabis and all of that here. Okay, well let's glass half full it and say, well, how come we can't? All right, then I don't care what, because I imagine there's a great amount of money that comes in off cannabis. We'll take an X percentage and say, okay, every dollar that comes in, that's going towards mental health research facilities, treating whatever it is, kind of like the scholarship for the lottery. You buy a lottery, it gets.
I do believe the statute has money going to school systems.
But I mean, why aren't we throwing truckloads of money into mental health?
He can't compel. See, the person who commits the offense, not competent, but they're not, quote, dangerous, for Hunter or one of the other assistants to be able to get him compelled is a high hurdle in this state. these people should be, there's Kendra's Law out of New York State.
Yeah.
It goes way back, and it dealt with an individual who was pushed in front of a subway train 30 years ago by a crazy guy in New York. She's killed. So they have this compulsory outpatient treatment, not inpatient, but outpatient.
Sure.
We don't really have a Kendra's Law light. And that was one of the battles I unsuccessfully fought when I was in the legislature.
And to really get into that problem, it's a multi-tier. It's not just law enforcement and the league and the lawyers and the justice system to come up with a solution. It's got to start at the families at home. It's got to start. It's even in law enforcement. When we talk about dealing with someone, maybe there's something in the training. We say, okay, they don't go to jail. We take them to a different place where they can get some real help here, or and I know that's voluntarily, but maybe we need to, if someone's not competent to make a decision, like we've deemed them not fit to make another decision, why do we deem them fit to say you don't get to go to that thing? Or it's like a voluntary, wait a minute, we've just determined you can't tie your own shoes, but we're going to let you make a decision whether you should be in this hospital or not.
And there is such a process called involuntary
commitment.
There we go. I was losing the word. Involuntary commitment, but that's a civil action that we can do. But that's only after we've taken all the other steps.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to put some more teeth in that kind of stuff.
And they're only there for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So they send them off to the hospital.
On the converse side, they need a real place to go, not just a place with some walls till they calm down and send them out of there. Yeah. They need a place where they're getting real help, and that's where the money needs to come in.
We need more mental health outpatient and inpatient treatment.
And things in there, not wardens.
Or even to get them at least back to competency in the sense where we could go forward with cases.
Sure.
Because and that's a big thing is, one of the hard parts of our job is trying to tell a victim, it's like, look, we can't prosecute this case because he's, mentally incapacitated, and they're like, so am I just out of that money? Or if they're stolen, or does that mean like he'll never go to jail or whatever? And it's like, yeah, that's basically what that means.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what can we do about it? And, and I'm like, vote.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. We don't want to lock up mental health people that truly need help, but at the same time, we don't want to give mental health patients a green light to do whatever the heck they want and just say, "Oh, I'm the mental health problem."
Right.
Sorry, you don't get that pass either.
And other states do things like have a mental health treatment docket sort of thing, where it's like their case stays in the court system while they're going to inpatient or outpatient treatment, and it just kind of keeps going, and then it has to come to a natural fruition. I would love to see something like that here, but it needs a lot of money, and you'd have to get support from the state legislature. You have to get the courts on board. It's going to add a whole bunch of additional resources. We need hospitals and other outpatient treatments to be willing to do it, have the people necessary. And the problem is, of course, and this, Southeast New Mexico is hurting for people unless you're in the oil field industry. It's the only place where they can apparently get people to work.
Yeah, well, you don't need any kind of college, and they're paying you, not quite lawyer money, but pretty good money.
Pretty good money,
I don't know, some people make more than we do.
He's like, I should get in the oil industry. I waste my time in this law school thing. But
the last thing I'd like to make a pitch for is, and Hunter and I talked a little bit about this, there are no perfect cases that go to trial.
Right.
The perfect cases plead out.
Yeah.
The ones that go to trial, these guys they've got to climb that hill, and the defense has made a decision. They want to roll the dice, and all they got to do is plant a seed. He's got to build this case with witnesses and words, and it's tough.
Yeah,
and not every case is Perry Mason. It doesn't wrap up in an hour and get a nice clean. But matter of fact, that never happens. And if it does happen, then you need to make a Netflix documentary out of it, because that's as rare as the stuff that comes on there.
And like you said, it's incredibly rare for a perfect case to even come about, A. And B, they do a lot of times end up in a plea. Of course, to kind of my caveat with that would be a lot of imperfect cases where our evidence is really lacking, or it's there's the potential that this person could walk if it went to a jury is another reason why we'll do a plea. You see that a lot.
Sure.
And people sometimes say, well, why is this homicide taken from first degree to second degree or second degree down to voluntary manslaughter or what have you.
Based on what we can prove and what we can get prosecuted.
Right. And sometimes there may be probable cause at the initial inset of first degree homicide, second degree, second degree murder, that sort of thing. But when you get into the weeds of it and you start going down, it just...
I'm just gee whiz curious, and we're out of time almost, but I'm just gee whiz curious. How often does a case happen where new evidence comes to light during the trial? Does that ever happen, or is that just a TV thing?
It's a TV thing. And I've had to say this to people, I don't know how many times. Being a prosecutor and court system is not like Law and Order. Don't get me wrong. I like watching Law and Order.
Sure, it's very entertaining.
It's entertaining.
You might be like, I'm a lawyer because I love watching them shows.
That's not real life.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I was just like, does that ever happen?
So my phrase to Hunter is that if he is surprised in the courtroom, I didn't do my job.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, and I should, and if you're surprised in the courtroom, either I'm not doing my job effectively too, to make sure we're digging in appropriately or
again, like you have the experience here. Gee whiz, curious. Does that more often happen to the defense attorney or to the prosecutor that you get those kind of surprises? I'm thinking it's the defense attorney because I'm guessing their client forego to mention some piece of information that turns up later. I mean, I imagine you have less of that.
I feel like that's a question for another day because I could really go into.
I just feel like you might have a little less of that than a defense attorney, but I could be wrong on that.
It depends.
Okay.
And like everything, there's shades of gray there.
Sure.
But I would say typically I think probably a defense attorney gets that more, but realistically in New Mexico, we give them everything. So realistically, unless their defendant is lying to them.
Or they don't bother to read discovery.
Or they don't read everything or listen to everything, then maybe they'll be surprised.
Okay.
But
I just feel like the defense attorney's got to be dealing with lying clients way more than... It's like... I'm just not judging here, but...
Well, they're criminals.
Right! That's my point. Criminals lie and do stuff like that. It's kind of in the description.
And of course, jury trials especially is chess, not checkers, so it's all about moves and counter moves.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to keep pieces of evidence out and let other things come in. And so sometimes a defense attorney may be surprised when we don't call a certain witness.
Mm-hmm.
That's about probably as surprised as I think typically they'll get, is when I say, nope, strategically, evidentiary-wise, it's bad for me to call this person.
Sure.
So, and I'm not one of those attorneys. I don't want to hide the ball.
Right.
I don't. I'm very straightforward, but if someone is
but you're not going to expose your weaknesses either.
Or I'm not going to open myself up to have a whole bunch of hearsay and evidence that should not typically come into trial be allowed that is beneficial to the defendant.
Yeah. If you're like, if this isn't getting my end game what I'm trying to do, then I'm not going to go that angle. The defense may try to use it as an attack point, but I'm sure not going to put it out there for them.
And one of the challenges the prosecutors really have is, like I talked about, building the case, but you can overwhelm a jury with all kinds of minutia.
Sure.
So he's got to make the call. All right, I got to make this, pare this down, so I get all the right points in
simplest
without overwhelming them, and they get brain dead.
Well, that's when the devil in the detail. I have a little experience serving on juries, and I've done a couple. So the more details, and the more deliberating, and the more, and then when things get muddy, that's when they go from without a doubt to some doubt in there.
Well, that's why that's a defense attorney's job, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to paint a picture. They're trying to throw mud on it the whole time, or black paints, or whatever metaphor you want to use.
You're kind of keeping it's like, here's the least common denominator. This person was here, did this, and there, and this is what they're being accused of. The defense is kind of saying, but they did it because of this, and maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was a bird, or what? You know what I mean? That's their job to throw in that stuff.
The alien.
Yeah. The man in the green jacket.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, but I understand what you're saying and appreciate. First off, we're out of time, but I know you got a huge workload, so I do appreciate you guys coming and spending.
Thank you for having
some
me.
time, and love to have you back. And I'm sure Dennis is the keeper of who gets on the radio, so you got to butter him up.
I have to go with beg. Please, who wants? I can't today. I can't tomorrow.
Well, let's just face it. Like you said. They're like, hey, I know you got 200 cases sitting on your thing. Yeah. Can you come hang out on the radio for an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
I do appreciate that. Yeah. At 9 o'clock in the morning, when, by the way, this is when I actually get some work done.
Yeah. There is that.
Luckily, you kept me out of court this morning. I got other people to cover my cases, so that's
well, you're welcome. Now don't make them take you to lunch. But thank you, guys. Thank you for both of you for what you do. We do appreciate, even the days that you feel like you're spinning your wheels on this. We do appreciate that, especially on those days where you guys feel like you're spinning your wheels and not making a difference. We all know you are, and we do appreciate it. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Means a lot.
Guys.
Thanks.
All right, it is 9:56. I got to play 3 commercials because I don't get to eat lunch unless these air. So I'm going to play them so I can eat lunch because I'm fat and I need lunch. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Here to help you breathe. Pilot alerting system that broke down earlier this month, leading the Federal Aviation Administration to briefly stop. An FAA spokesperson said Wednesday the system that sends notices to air missions was online and operational. Advertising spending on Twitter dropped by 71% in December. Data from an advertising research firm showed after the Elon Musk takeover. The recent data by Standard Media Index comes as Twitter is moving to reverse the advertiser exodus. Workers at an Amazon warehouse in the UK have gone on strike in dispute over pay, the first time the U.S. e-commerce giant has faced industrial action in the UK. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington. Here to help you breathe easy. That's what you can expect from Artesia General Hospital's cardiopulmonary and respiratory therapy team, both literally and figuratively. From innovative treatments for lung cancer and COVID-19 to management for everyday breathing problems like asthma and bronchitis, our care for acute and chronic conditions is unmatched in southeast New Mexico, and the compassion of our caregivers offers peace of mind with each visit. Get the help you need for chronic respiratory conditions. Call 575-748-3333 or visit artesiageneral.com/respiratory.
Eastern New Mexico University in Portales is proud to offer potential students the opportunity to attend ENMU tuition-free with the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship. And now we are proud to announce the newly created Freshman Hound Housing Room Grant, which will allow students the opportunity to receive up to $3,000 per year off their housing costs when living on the ENMU campus. For more information on how ENMU is making higher education more affordable for you and your family members, visit enmu.edu. Eastern New Mexico University. Student success. That's what we're about.
This morning, the U.S. economy expanded at a 2.9% annual pace from October through December.
The economy ended 2022 with momentum despite the pressure of high interest rates and widespread fears of a looming recession. The Commerce Department estimates show that the nation's gross domestic product decelerated last quarter from the 3.2% annual growth rate it had posted from July through September. Most economists think the economy will slow further in the current quarter and slide into at least a mild recession by mid-year.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting. Russia launched a wave of missile and drone attacks across Ukraine today, and now emergency officials say the latest strikes killed 11 people and wounded 11 others. In the Mideast, it's been one of the deadliest days in recent years. Officials say the Israeli military killed 9 Palestinians during a raid in the occupied West Bank.
From the early morning onwards, the refugee camp in Jenin resounded to the sound of explosions and gunfire as Israeli forces battled Palestinian fighters. The Israeli military's firepower was concentrated on a house where it believed a group of Islamic Jihad militants were based. The aftermath of the operation shows the building to be almost destroyed.
Donald Trump's suspension from Facebook and Instagram soon coming to an end.
Facebook parent Meta is reinstating former President Donald Trump's personal account after a 2-year suspension following the January 6th riot. The company said in a blog post Wednesday it's adding new guardrails to ensure there are no repeat offenders who violate its rules. The former president, in a post on his own social media network, blasted Facebook's decision to suspend his account as he praised his own site, Truth Social. Keith Peters reporting.
Stocks are mixed after a half hour of trading on Wall Street. More at townhall.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has introduced a bill to delay new tax credits for electric vehicles.
The tax credits are a key feature in President Biden's landmark climate law, but Manchin says the administration is trying to bypass a requirement that big portions of the needed EV batteries be produced in North America. Manchin says the climate bill passed as the Inflation Reduction Act is, quote, first and foremost an energy security bill. Manchin says circumventing the battery production requirement nullifies the purpose of the tax credits. He says their purpose was to grow domestic manufacturing and reduce U.S. dependence on foreign supply chains. Bob Agnew, Capitol Hill.
Fewer Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week as the labor market remains tight, even as the Fed has tried to cool the economy and inflation by raising interest rates. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Greg Clark.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travelers said, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
They call it the deuce.
Of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having a delightful Thursday. Hope it's going well and swimmingly. And soup.
Soupily.
Yeah, happy Thursday. Hope y'all having a good a little cool again. Still gonna be in the 40s, so dress appropriately. Although I'm not gonna lie, feeling warm right now. Like I think the heat's kicking up in the building.
It might be.
And I'm feeling a little warm. I might need to roll up a sleeve.
You're not doing the New Mexico thing and dressing in layers, Michael.
Well, I had 2. I had 2 layers. I have a shirt and a coat.
Yeah, but you need layers below that so you can strip down.
Yeah.
Think like a wife beater or something, you know?
Well, We can go sand shirt. Drink it in.
Let's do it.
No. The answer is, I know.
I had a roommate, this is years and years ago, who used to walk around and like, hang out in the living room or whatever, shirtless.
Yeah.
And that was just his preferred look. He had the body, he could do it. He's like, well, you should do it, man. It's free. It's comfortable. Like, first of all, no, it's not. You have the body that works for. Secondly, one dude with a shirt off in a room, that's fine. Two dudes with a shirt off in a room, that's pushing things.
You are getting into weird territory.
That is a little odd. Feels like you're going for a look at that point.
Yeah.
Especially when one of you has a muffin top.
Yeah. And then you order a pizza. And it just gets weird. But
make some
I
bacon.
get with it. Yeah, and even when I'm alone at home,
same.
I got a shirt.
Same.
The only times I am shirtless is at night when I sleep, and when I'm bathing.
Yeah, showering.
That's about it. I mean, I go to the pool in the summer.
I mean, I do wear my shower shirt, so there's that.
Shower shirt.
No, I'm talking about the pool too.
I don't have a pool shirt. I just go.
No, I don't have a pool shirt either. It's just whatever shirt I happen to be.
Well, I don't wear a shirt in the pool. I'm at that point where I'm like, yeah, I'm 50 and fat. I'm married 20 years. I'm not here to impress anybody. But at the same time, I'm not going to walk around shirtless in a place that, shirts are up. You know what I mean? Like
you're not going to like a TGI Fridays.
Like if I'm at the beach and I'm physically getting in the water and doing things, yes, shirt is off. But I'm just sitting on the beach.
Yeah,
shirt's back on.
You're not popping that bad boy off just to catch the rays.
I ain't walking around doing the Top Gun volleyball scene or nothing. Ain't none of that happening here. First Top Gun, not the second one for kids.
Yeah, it's pretty much always there. That's mostly for those around me.
Yeah,
and for my own self-esteem.
But I got to find farmer's tan if you.
Really absolutely, absolutely. I turn two-tone for half the year.
That's right. So, yeah, no. I don't. I mean, but yes, if I'm in a public pool, I'm
no, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a half shirt.
Well.
Just so we're clear, it is. I'm willing to show off some.
See, now you're just trying to attract attention.
There's some that call me Ralphus. Ladies.
Well, good news. It's January. Don't have to worry about going shirtless at the pool for a while.
No.
Unless it's indoors. Go over to the rec center and swim laps. But if I did that, I wouldn't be worried about my shirt being on or off, probably. It's the rub.
You'd think,
but here I sit. Just easy to cheeseburger in silence. But
it is.
Crying over a cheeseburger.
That's right.
But happy Thursday. Hope you're having a good day. Hope it's going well. Let me see if there's any blood drives. See if anybody wants to go donate blood this week.
Kick out some of that sweet bean gravy.
Actually, you can donate blood tomorrow, Friday, the 27th. Eastern New Mexico Medical Center is hosting a blood drive with Vitalant in the Mesquite Room from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's like right there when you walk in and you go in and you'll see the Mesquite Room. But anyway, if you do donate tomorrow, they will give you a $10 Amazon gift card. All you need to do to donate is get an appointment. Do so by calling 575-840-8178. Again, 575-840-8178, and they'll get you an appointment. If it's your first time, I think they can give you a website and you can kind of pre-register and everything and kind of speed up the process. But typically, and it's great too because you're helping and saving lives and that good side. Yep. But say you don't know your blood type.
That's true.
You can learn it.
That's true.
And plus they do little health screenings too on this, so like blood pressure and
if your platelets are low or something.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
If your white count is high, they can be like, hey, you might want it looks like you might be trying to fight off an infection. You might want to get this checked out. Go see a doctor.
So it's a little bit of a health screening for you too. So
not too shabby.
So please sign up and give the gift of life.
So you got a full packed house out there.
Yes.
For this hour. So
yes.
I'll save it until next hour, but I want you to ponder the question I posed to you last evening via text message.
Game on.
When you're playing a game, video game, board game, whatever, one that has difficulty settings, Do you prefer an easier setting, a medium setting, or like a hard setting?
See, my answer varies on that. And
how much of a challenge do you enjoy?
It really depends on A, if I'm playing by myself or with others. It depends on B, what the game is. If it's something I'm familiar with or not familiar with. And that's pretty much the variables. Like if I'm playing by myself in a game I've never played before, I'll go easy to learn it.
Sure.
And then I'll probably ramp up the difficulty if I enjoy it. But if it's with a group of people, then it's consensus of the group. But then
you're not one of those show off your skills types though.
No, because I when I play a game, unless it's like a card game or a board game, it's by myself. I don't play like Madden with a group of people or Call of Duty or any of that stuff. And board games generally don't have
for example, like a trivia night. Do you prefer your questions to be a little harder, a little more on like the challenging side, or do you want to breeze through it?
Trivia night, I want a little hodgepodge of both.
Okay.
Because I need the confidence boost when I bust out a question and get it right, because that feeds me to the next one. But if I screw those up, then I'm in trouble because it goes either way. So it depends. But trivia night, generally I'll go harder depending on my competition.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of obscure information which might help me there to go harder. But if it's like, we're going to do science and math, I'm like, no, stick to addition and subtraction, please. You know what I mean? It depends on the topic.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, next hour, we'll play a little game.
All right.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll do that. All right.
We'll get a chance.
Let me give you the rundown for this hour of the show. We'll get you up to date with the weather here in just a second. And then joining us from the Eastern New Mexico University Roswell STEM Lab, we're going to have Heidi Weeks, the lab director, and Coy Spear, who heads up and teaches a lot of the drone classes there at the STEM Lab. So we'll talk with these two and first you'll be like, what's STEM Lab? We'll get that part out, and then we'll talk about the rest of it here in just a little bit. Later on the hour, we'll get you up to date with the news of the local variety, along with your weather and whatever else we can come up with for this hour of the show. Before we do any of that, let's take a look at that weather, which 40s. One more day today, and it looks like warming up into the 50s after today, but we'll see.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We're in pretty good shape through the upcoming weekend. Still cool today, but temperatures will be on a warming trend starting tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds through about midday, and then sunny this afternoon. Looks like low 40s on our high. Upper teens and clear for the overnight hours. Warming into the low 50s with a sunny day coming up on Friday. Then sunshine for the weekend. We're in the upper 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 28 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 81%. Winds currently out of the west at 3 miles per hour. They're saying patchy freezing fog could be still lingering around for a little bit, but probably moving out the area pretty quickly if you do have it. Partly cloudy, then gradually just becoming sunny later today. High of only 44 expected. Winds will remain out of the south at around 5 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear. Looking at overnight low of 19. We'll get that out. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, we're dabbing into the 50s tomorrow. Sunny and 53. Winds out of the south 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, clear skies, overnight low of 22. Southwest winds at around 5 miles per hour. And for your weekend, warm for what we've been experiencing on Saturday. Mostly sunny, 58 for a high. Winds will be out of the northwest, 5 to 10, and then sunny on Sunday. Expect highs right around 55 degrees. All right, it is 16 minutes after 8 o'clock. We're going to take a 4-minute commercial break, pay some bills, and then we'll talk with the folks from Eastern New Mexico University Roswell. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Over the next several weeks, we want to give you 5 key elements to a great marriage. This is taken from an article by Drs. Les and Leslie Perot. Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smotherman for The Joy of Marriage. The first one is ownership, taking responsibility for the good as well as the bad.
1 Corinthians 11:31 says, "Judge yourself so you won't be judged." It's talking about the judgment of God, but it also applies to our relationships, especially the ones that are closest to us, like marriage. If you'll just take responsibility for your own actions, it's so much easier for our spouses not to have to point out and criticize us.
So we have to take responsibility for our actions and our reactions, our attitudes and our mistakes. You know, most people would learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them.
You aren't responsible for what your spouse does. You are responsible for doing your part. So just decide today to do your part and take ownership.
Lots of excitement and changes are happening at the Calico Cow in Roswell. Yes, the Cow is utterly stocked with lots of new and spring fabrics. And what a perfect time to give your sewing machine a spa day. The Calico Cow now has 2 certified sewing machine technicians, so call ahead or bring your machine by for a quick turnaround and look for new and exciting things to come at the Calico Cow Fabric and Gift Shop in downtown Roswell. Want to know how? Come see the Cow.
Wilbanks Trucking Services in Artesia is seeking dedicated and motivated individuals to join their team. Immediate openings include CDL drivers with pay starting at $25 to $33 per hour depending on experience. Riggers with pay starting at $20 per hour and open positions for lease operators. Wilbanks Trucking Services offers full benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and housing for out-of-town employees. For more information on career opportunities, please call 575-746-6318 or online at wilbanks.us. Wilbanks Trucking Services is an equal opportunity employer.
With the hustle, bustle, and bright lights of the holidays in the rearview mirror, it's time to ease into the new year with a new car or truck from your friends at Roswell Ford. Because nobody makes car buying easier. With more than 500 pre-owned vehicles in stock and brand new units arriving all the time, finding the perfect vehicle is easy. A 3-day money-back guarantee on all pre-owned vehicles makes the decision easy. No payments for 90 days easily gives you time to put those holiday expenses behind you. And with a goal of 100% credit approval, Roswell Ford even makes financing easy, regardless of your credit situation. And we happily accept I-10s. Like I said, easy. So make some time and come see what we have for you at the Tailgate Nation. Whatever you're looking for, you can count on Roswell Ford to keep it simple and make it easy. We're waiting for you now at the corner of 9th and Main, so we're even easy to find.
In John 13, the Bible tells the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. This occurred very shortly before Jesus would be crucified. He chose this crucial time to perform a servant's job for his followers. There's an interesting scripture right before he does this that reads like this. Jesus knew that his Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal and proceeded to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus knew that God had called him back for this very purpose, to serve the world. He knew that he would shortly be back with his Father through the ultimate act of service, which was death on a cross. He also knew that he would be resurrected and go back to his Father for eternity. After washing their feet, Jesus tells them to wash one another's, to serve each other, and I think to serve the world. To be Jesus in the world so that those around you see how to belong to Jesus and experience his saving grace. Serving is one of the ways to meet our mission of knowing Jesus and making Jesus known. We invite you to come and join us in this mission.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Turtles can breathe through their butts. We imagine you know some people who do that too, because that's where their heads reside. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in the studio this morning from the ENMUR, Eastern New Mexico University Roswell STEM Lab, we have Director Heidi Weeks. And I guess, what's your official, what she told me was like, you're the guy that does all the drone stuff. Actually, that was the title that she gave me for Koi Spear.
I have STEM curriculum. I'm actually a math and physics teacher.
So deeper than drones.
And so anyway, I implemented the flight lab portion of STEM Lab. And I work with Heidi on integrating our technologies into our classes and curriculum.
Gotcha. So, so basically do that, but then if there's a gap in the line or a hole in the fence, you're there to put a finger in it and fix it. So
yeah, pretty much.
I get it. Well, first off, good morning. Thank you guys for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Now, for folks that may not be familiar or may be familiar, the STEM Lab is kind of an evolution of something that was there before. If folks remember, ENMUR, what was it, about 4 years ago? I don't remember the timeline.
Probably 5.
Yeah,
you nailed it
off the top of my head. But they started the I Center, which was an opportunity for the public and for the students and staff to kind of find a niche, a trade, a technology, and utilize the equipment there, and perhaps start a business, start a trend, start something. It was an opportunity for people to really get a business going. Things like, well, it's now kind of evolved to this more advanced STEM side of training. From we talked the math and the number crunching, but this side kind of gets into the hands-on side of STEM a little bit. Is that a pretty fair description?
Absolutely. It's a little more focused now, in that its goal is to integrate these technologies or STEM projects into our academics.
Gotcha.
Whereas, like you mentioned with the I Center, it was an open door to the public.
Mhm.
It's just more focused.
Gotcha.
Would you agree, Heidi?
Yeah, so the I Center was more community driven, and on this grant, so we're working on the GPS guided pathways to STEM.
Okay.
So on that one, it's more, I guess, student driven.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's designed for more of the curriculum based, and if people
Right.
that are pursuing a degree plan or a certificate or whatever for a training, this is kind of more focused around that than kind of a shop library kind of thing for the public, so to speak. Not to say that this might evolve again down the road to something where the public can come back and work on projects and things like that. Certainly, I'm guessing students that are actually there doing things might be working on some projects and things like that work as my class and also as my future. But that's kind of But talk a little bit about the equipment stuff, because is it, as far as the equipment goes, is it similar to the I Center stuff, or is it different altogether? Some of the same tools, but there's more tools, different tools that are also part of the STEM lab.
Yeah, so we have some of the same technology, and they're from the I Center,
Mhm.
and I've also added some new technology. So we have 3D printers that were existing in there now.
Which Heidi gave me a cool little 3D printed shark, and this will be something that's going to be fidgeting with for the next few whiles. I have I have a whole rack of stuff. I got a frog here, and so this will be the new thing that I play with while I'm talking to people.
So we added 3 new 3D printers, and those use carbon fiber filament instead of the regular plastic filament, which is what our old MakerBot printers use.
I'm guessing it's a technology thing. The other prior one was older 3D printer technology, and we know how technology is. 3D printers, came part of the mainstream here within the last 10 years or so, but they've already evolved to, that first generation where you're like, ooh, I made a whistle, to now I can replicate a house or something almost. They've got it to where it's way more advanced.
Well, we updated it, and we tried to make it more state of the practice, i.e., what would you see if you landed yourself in an engineering studio in Denver or something like this? Of course, we had the problem with students walking in saying, hey, I had better 3D printers at home. And so...
and you're like, well, can you bring it in?
So we had to upgrade. We had to up our game. And so anyway, now we have some very nice carbon fiber filaments with fiberglass reinforcements. We've also aligned it with what students will see at either New Mexico Tech or New Mexico State, meaning they need to be using the state of the practice 3D software like SolidWorks. So we've made huge steps. When a student comes into our STEM lab and does 3D imaging, 3D printing, they will learn the language and the software that they will be using at New Mexico Tech or New Mexico State, or even out in the engineering industry.
Kind of like maybe comparison in kind of dumb layman's terms. It's kind of like, you're teaching them how to do stuff on the Atari, and then they got to the next level and they have a PlayStation sitting in front of them.
That's exactly it. That was exactly it.
Yeah,
and so we're thrilled that we're teaching them the same language that will make them money in the coming years.
Gotcha. Which and I would imagine that translates from not only, from your level to the next level, where I imagine when those instructors come, it's like, oh shoot, they're already familiar with this. Now we can focus on more what it can do than on how to work it. And then by conversely, when they go to the next level, their jobs or places where they're looking for their careers, they're going to see, at least when they start their careers, that technology, because we all know technology, by the time they complete their training, the technology world's already upgraded sometimes. And
absolutely.
So that's a battle we'll always keep trying to stay with, not stay ahead of, but stay with. And but it really, I imagine that's a great advantage for not just our students and things here, but for potential technology industry-based employees in New Mexico. They're looking to hire these folks. Los Alamos got a lot of technical jobs up there, but that's not the only place in New Mexico that's got them.
We have businesses like in Artesia, CGS, that went out and found a SolidWorks expert, brought him in out of California. Fortunately, now we're producing them ourselves. Mm-hmm. And through our, we have conversations with New Mexico Tech, and I've visited and specifically talked about prepping students. And what's so interesting about this, what I'm thrilled about, is they said really the only students they're finding in New Mexico that are arriving there with the SolidWorks and 3D imaging software experience are out of Rio Rancho. And so now I'm thrilled to say right here in Roswell, we are one of the few places in New Mexico that will prepare you for, New Mexico Tech and the challenges of a very good engineering school.
Excellent. So, when you look at it that way, in theory, we're right in the, right there with what's the top in this state right now.
That is the plan.
That's great to see and hear. And I imagine, and that's a win because just face it, I bet Rio Rancho is just as happy, New Mexico Tech, because, that takes a little bit of the pressure off them. And it's like, all right, hey, well, you guys in Farmington, let's see if we can get you something up here. Down in Cruces, let's get you something going on here. But really, that's the way we got to go. And I'm curious, as far as, like when we talk about what the Ice Center was, how much of that equipment is like not just the 3D printers and stuff, but I know you had like the vinyl deal and some of those more manufacturing type equipment. Does that stuff still in part of the STEM lab, or is that kind of graduated to other places or moved on to other departments and things?
So I still have the laser engravers.
Okay.
2 of those. And then what else was in there with the Ice Center? So the vinyl printer that you mentioned, I don't have that.
Okay. I'm just trying to kind of compare and contrast from 5 years ago.
So I've also added Z-Space technology. That's our virtual reality
Okay,
stuff,
cool.
That's amazing. I love that.
Well, and that was kind of when the Ice Center opened. That was like a lot of the networking and like you had rooms that you can, in theory, conduct like like the not virtual, but more like your what we now know is like Zoom meetings and things. But back when that first opened, it was like in essence allowing businesses and inventors to kind of talk and exchange ideas. I imagine that technology translates easily probably with New Mexico Tech and various businesses, entities, and other STEM-related industries and things.
Well, we were talking a minute ago about, during COVID, and it's interesting how the advancements we made in these online or virtual meetings.
Sure.
And so it was interesting. You're right. We had, prior to COVID, started to move in that direction. But once COVID happened, we have all gotten so familiar with Zoom meetings and everything else.
And the good news is, and this is the great thing now, and we were just actually chatting a smidge about this before we went on air here, is now that we're getting post-COVID here, we're now finding that balance where, yes, people want to be in classrooms and do that again, but now we're kind of a better equipped to do either. So, God forbid we have to do something like this again, we can pivot a lot quicker than we did 4 years ago.
You nailed it. When we started those online and a lot of the distance learning at the beginning of COVID, we were horrible at it, in my opinion. And so we have made so much progress with that.
Well, and let's face it, the world was caught with its pants down. It wasn't just, us in Roswell or people into, the entire world had to figure out how to be a world without us actually looking at each other. And that's good, bad, indifferent. That's how we survived the 3 years here. But now it's kind of I'm hoping. It's a renaissance of in-person learning and face-to-face, and where technology was trying to say, how do we do this from remote locations? And we need that's important. But when it comes to instruction and learning and things like that, it's so important to have that human interaction. I mean, and at every level, not just at a college or technical level, but at early development when they're learning to form words and things, they need that human contact, that seeing and touching and all that to for all of the what they're learning to make sense.
Well, you nailed it with that. Prior to COVID, a lot of teachers were openly greeting these online media supplemental instruction. And it was during COVID that we said, hold it, this stuff isn't working like we thought it was. And so there is a renewed appreciation for the face-to-face classes, and also this connection we form in face-to-face instruction.
Sure.
And to a large degree, the STEM Lab allows for that. It is, the STEM Lab supplements physics classes and math classes. So if you take a physics class with me, you're going to end up in the STEM Lab, 3D printing your rockets that will shoot and things like that. But it does. It gives you a place to go to build a project, to get face-to-face instruction with someone like Heidi, who's tremendously personable.
Well, and I imagine, too, it promotes the STEM industry, because especially when you get younger children and you're teaching the basics of math and science and getting the formulas and the base level stuff that we all need to know, now they take that, when I was a kid, they didn't really give us okay, here you go, here's the formula, you need to know it because you need to know it. They don't really tell you why you need to know it or how it works or how to apply it. And that's where the STEM Lab comes in. The STEM Lab saying, yeah, remember all those formulas? This is why. So you can make this. And so we can create this, and gives us the ability to make this rocket go into space. That's where the cool, all those formulas and things you were learning, how do we put that into practice? And so I think it brings people back to STEM, where some people just got in the numbers and they couldn't put a practical application to that. And like, why do I need to learn this? I'd rather, learn Spanish because I can deal with that, This will now give that reason. It's like, dude, I can work for NASA. Dude, I can, whatever, the sky's the limit there. I could be there in Los Alamos making big money with those guys, whatever.
You are, again, exactly right. If I give a construction project to a student, let's say I'm going to take a piece of foam board, which we do, and I say build an airplane, well, you're going to grab a ruler, true?
Right.
Which means you're going to be dealing with fractions. But as soon as we say, okay, now 3D print a part for it that you need, once you hop in the computer, you're going to be dealing with decimals. So you have to begin with your fractions, and then you have to go to decimal operations. And if the computer drives a change on the part that you have now created, you've got to take your decimals and go back to fractions. If I did that in a class, oh my God, you would be bored to death.
Sure.
You would hate it.
Sure.
But if you're building an airplane in the STEM Lab, it's all a means to.
It's a fun project.
Yeah, exactly. It's entirely different.
Yeah.
It's entirely different.
And that's where I love about the STEM Lab and everything about it, because it puts the excitement back in STEM again. And so I hope we get our students now, when they start taking your classes and taking your math and science classes out at the college here, they get spend some time in that STEM Lab and get those extra resources. So when they're studying for the test and they're like, why am I doing it? It's like, oh, because of that cool stuff we did in the lab there, and that's why we're doing it. So it really, I think it's great. It gives a dangle of the carrot a little bit for like, this is your future if you want to pursue this, and that's what I love about it. So I mean, how is it fully integrated now? Or are you still getting things online? Because I know we're still kind of new in the transition of this STEM Lab and getting it up and running, or is we're full capacity and doing our thing now?
We're almost there. So the grand opening is on Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock. Super excited about that. Excited to get it over with. Honestly, It's been stressful.
I would imagine.
Looking forward to it,
the
though.
29th, you're going to be like, oh, just a normal day. How awesome is this?
Yeah, definitely. But as far as being fully functional, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much there.
Is it, like, do you guys envision like more to come with like you see now, and you're looking at it, and you're like, man, but like you're thinking, well, just in a couple years we could add this to this. I mean, like where do you guys envision the future of this goes? Like in a year, 5 years from now, what kind of things do you see potentially coming out of the STEM lab here?
I mean, I honestly would love for it to become like our technology hub in this area. I think that would be amazing. I don't know if that's possible. Probably just dreaming, but I think.
Well, I mean, it's like you said. There's only one other place in the state doing what you're doing right now at that level, and it's in Rio Rancho. So I imagine, by that it's got to draw to Mecca. For people that don't want, people down south, they're like, I don't want to go up north. I go south to here, and it's kind of. I think what you're saying is not unrealistic at all. I think it's something that which would be even better is it inspires other parts of the state to do the same. And now we have a place for students anywhere in the state to easily get to have something like a STEM lab.
What we've seen is once we have brought SolidWorks on board, RISD has jumped in, and you've got Monica Rodriguez Hudson at Goddard, who has integrated SolidWorks and a lot of these things into their programs. And the same thing at Roswell High, Dr. Rao, have integrated it. So, we're watching our whole
cementing
community.
that partnership with the RISD and the college here.
And so, you have more than just the college now doing it. We have this whole Roswell education system moving in that direction.
And not to mention, I imagine as an instructor at things too, you get some of those kids in high school that are coming through and it's like, come see me in a year when you graduate. We're going to go out. Let me show you some really cool stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you get kind of like how coaches get to watch the Pee-wees and like, all right, that kid will be coming through high school in a few years. You could kind of scout like, all right, I could get that kid. That kid's going to be an engineer here before you know it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. You would ask about where it's going. Heidi has this thing up and running. And now what we're doing is we are exposing our faculty to it, like our biology department. And just the other day, Dr. Carey said, I want to 3D model the coronavirus. And so I think what we'll see in this coming 5 years as we get the biology department and chemistry and agriculture involved in the STEM lab, then we're going to see what they want to integrate and where it's going to go.
Sure.
To some extent, it'll be the academics that drive our integration of these into our classes.
But at the same time, you could also be a conduit for other forms of or other parts of academics they may not necessarily go through the STEM lab, but what you guys create out of it might help them with their curriculum and stuff, kind of like you were saying.
That is true. And a part of the reason we developed Flight Lab is you need this foundation of the principles of flight for drones or aircraft, and you need to understand airspace before you can integrate these into a drone survey class or a drone GIS class mapping. Sure. So you have to have a foundation before you can grow on it. And as far as some of these things go, we have built that foundation, and now let's watch it grow.
Yeah, which, by the way, is the reason why they tell you not to just go on Amazon and order a drone and then just start whipping around your neighborhood and all that stuff. There's some rules and regulations and things.
We have the Roswell Airport airspace that covers half of this city. So therefore, you buy yourself a little drone and go launch it into the airspace, and that's going to cause real problems.
Well, and as a former military member stationed at Holloman Air Force Base, it's a few years ago, I know that almost 2/3 of New Mexico is restricted airspace for somebody or another. The whole south end of New Mexico, I'm sure there's a lot of little windows where commercial and private airplanes are like, you can go here, don't go there, don't go there. Here's a little window, and you come diddy bopping with your drone and see what happens. So.
Not going to be a good day.
Absolutely. So really, for folks, students here, I mean, obviously, if you want to learn more, please come schedule an appointment, talk to you guys, and I'm sure you'll do tours and things. Come out to the grand opening on the 28th. That's where most people are doing their tours and imagine eat cookies, do everything that you do at a ribbon cutting. Are you going to have a robot or something do a ribbon cutting?
So we'll have drone flights every 15 minutes during it. That's going to be really awesome.
See the drones fly legally and properly.
Exactly.
And over legal places. So.
Definitely. The excuse me, the 3D printers will have stuff printing out on those, just demos going on for everyone to see how they work. And then same with the laser engraver.
Okay.
And then I'll have a scavenger hunt going on the Z-Space Tech.
Cool. So something for the adults, the kids, and kids at heart there too. So, and by the way, check out the laser engraver. That's pretty cool technology. When you watch it and stuff, you're kind of like, man, do they make like a pocket home version of this? You could just kind of put in your garage. I could find so many uses for this thing. It's like they really need to whip out a home model of this thing, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. So in the meantime, come check out the one at the Sky Lab there. But it is really cool because you start. It's one of those pieces of equipment that you see it and then you're like, oh, it does that, and then you start thinking, I could do this, and this with that thing, and so you start creating ideas for it. And I imagine if you did own one, you go through a phase where everyone for Christmas gets like personalized laser drilled knit key tags or something like that. But come see it. It really come see the facility. Come check it out. Come if you're especially maybe you're a high school student now and you're trying to plot your path here and you're thinking. Of course, right now I hope you're watching on demand as opposed to listening live because you'd be in school. But anyway. Please, reach out. Come. This is the thing we want to, and I can tell you this from a financial perspective. As much of your schooling as you can do here local, right here in this college campus, you're going to not only, get the great education, but save a ton of cash when especially if you're going to go on to pursue your doctor, your master's, whatever. Now you save a little cash getting your at the associates and even up to the bachelor's level here before you start spending the real bucks going for those. So it's please take advantage of that. And here's the cool part, because of ENMUR, where it's situated, being a former military base and being at an airport and an air terminal, there's so many things like the drone and so many stuff that this STEM lab does and offers that other colleges of the same caliber couldn't offer because they're not situated where ENMUR is situated. So please take advantage. All these are to your advantage, so take advantage of that. That's what it's there for. I'm telling you, you go to other communities, you don't have that opportunity. So please, if you're into STEM and this is looking like something you love, you're a lot of kids. I want to design games. You got to be better. You got to do more than just learn how to play them to do that. So you gotta learn everything, and that's where STEM Lab starts.
Let me bring up one other thing. The dual enrollment aspect. If you are a parent whose child is at Goddard or Roswell or the early college, just know there are dual enrollment classes. Even while you're in high school, your child can be taking our STEM-related courses. They can be in the STEM lab learning SolidWorks, 3D printing, building drones, the whole bit.
Already working towards college while completing their high school diploma.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, that's not for every student, but for kids that have that path and they're ready and they're, what I mean? It's because, high school students can be very hard, and you add a college workload to that. It takes a certain discipline to be able to pull that off. But if you got the desire and the parental support and everybody on board, why not, pursue this and who knows? You could be the next Dr. Robert Goddard out here, and we got a statue about you making the Star Trek warp drive. Maybe that'll be you. Instead of Scott Bakula's dad, it'll be you. Sorry, it's a little nerd reference there for some people. But come out. What time is the grand opening on the 28th? What is it, like an all day?
It's the 31st. It's at 10 a.m.
Oh, 31st. I'm sorry. I thought you said the 28th. Sorry. So the 31st, which is that next Tuesday. And at 10 a.m. come out. And then explain to people how to get there, because I could tell you the roads, but I'm bad at directions. So it basically, if you go past the main campus building there, and then you turn onto, I can't remember the road, and then follow like 2 blocks. I think
it's Mathis, isn't it?
Is it Mathis? I think you're right.
So it's in the OTC. If you take the east entrance and just go all the way to the end of the hall on the left.
I know how to get there, but to explain it to people is another story. So. And of course, obviously the spring semester is full underway. I think dropping, all that wrapped up, I believe, last week and everything. So we're full into the spring semester. However, summer semester is right around the corner. I imagine there'll be a few classes that the STEM lab will, some folks will spend some time in there, and then of course the fall. And then look for, I know when Donna comes on, they're always talking about some quick classes, and I don't know how much that goes into the STEM lab side of things, but quick 8-week classes and things like that they usually start around mid spring semester and stuff too. So be on the lookout.
Come to mind, I don't know that we have any 8-week courses that will involve our STEM.
Yeah, I think most of that's more like OSHA and some of the paperwork where you know people trying to get certificates or things towards their job or something like that. But Roswell.enmu.edu is the website. You can learn every single thing we're talking about here and more. And then come out on next Tuesday, 10 a.m., and check out the Skylab grand opening and come see it for yourself. And who knows, that might be the place that defines your future if you so want it to be. So
awesome.
Yeah. Plus, it's a pretty cool place to hang out too. They got that little cool cubbies to hang out. And you're like, I just want a quiet place to have a soda. Yeah, they got a spot right here. You can sit in for the hustle and bustle. They got that for you too. So. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we'll love to have you guys back every time, and then especially as I would love to see some of the work that comes out of the classes from there. So if y'all get any projects that are kind of portable, something we can bring in here, love to let the kids come and brag a little bit and show off some of their talents and stuff.
That'd be awesome.
So it'd be great. Thank you guys.
Hey, thank you.
All right, we'll see you. Don't work too hard here. It is 8:48. Let's pause for news and commercials and weather. So we'll be back. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. Some tense moments Wednesday at Yeso Elementary School where an active police situation unfolded. The district sending a note to parents explaining the situation actually happened a couple of blocks from the school building, but the facility was locked down as a precaution. The district asking parents who were waiting to pick up their kids to move. Police later said the school district transferred all the students to Faith Baptist Church on 20th Street, where parents could pick their kids up. At this time, police have not explained exactly what happened at the home near 18th and West Clayton Street. New Mexico producers should be on the lookout for the Census of Agriculture. During the last week of 2022, the U.S. Department of Agriculture mailed out the 22 Census of Agriculture to all known producers across New Mexico and the rest of the country, with ag being the second largest industry in the state. The state says it is crucial for producers to complete their census to better the industry for the future for everyone. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We're in pretty good shape through the upcoming weekend. Still cool today, but temperatures will be on a warming trend starting tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds through about midday, and then sunny this afternoon. Looks like low 40s on our high. Upper teens and clear for the overnight hours. Warming into the low 50s with a sunny day coming up on Friday. Then sunshine for the weekend. We're in the upper 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. Some users of a system that sends messages to pilots reported delays on Wednesday, but federal officials said the problem was not affecting flights. It is the same pilot alerting system that broke down earlier this month, leading the Federal Aviation Administration to briefly stop all departing flights around the country. An FAA spokesperson said Wednesday the system that sends notices to air missions was online and operational. Advertising spending on Twitter dropped by 71% in December. Data from an advertising research firm showed after the Elon Musk takeover. The recent data by Standard Media Index comes as Twitter is moving to reverse the advertiser exodus. Workers at an Amazon warehouse in the UK have gone on strike in dispute over pay. The first time the U.S. e-commerce giant has faced industrial action in the UK. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I know you've heard me say that you can trust Trustmark, but I want you to know what that looks like in real life. A few years ago, we installed a beautiful new roof for an older woman who was recently widowed. She was an artist, and colors were really important to her. So when she said she didn't like the color of a brand new roof, we took that seriously. She had picked the color and signed off on it, but I just kept thinking, if she's going to walk into her house every day and be disappointed, then we're just going to redo it. So we did. We ripped that beautiful new roof off and replaced it with a slightly different color, and she was thrilled. Yes, it cost us quite a bit of money to make her happy, but I want you to know you can trust Trustmark to make it exactly right every time. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
In John 13, the Bible tells the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. This occurred very shortly before Jesus would be crucified. He chose this crucial time to perform a servant's job for his followers. There's an interesting scripture right before he does this that reads like this. Jesus knew that his Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal and proceeded to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus knew that God had called him back for this very purpose, to serve the world. He knew that he would shortly be back with his Father through the ultimate act of service, which was death on a cross. He also knew that he would be resurrected and go back to his Father for eternity. After washing their feet, Jesus tells them to wash one another's, to serve each other, and I think to serve the world. To be Jesus in the world so that those around you see how to belong to Jesus and experience his saving grace. Serving is one of the ways to meet our mission of knowing Jesus and making Jesus known. We invite you to come and join us in this mission.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
When Rhonda was experiencing severe abdominal pain, she knew she could count on Artesia General Hospital's emergency department to provide critical care any time of day or night.
I didn't think twice about driving the 45 minutes from my home to Artesia's ER. I felt like I was their only patient. Excellent care from everyone, and I'm thankful beyond measure.
Each year, thousands of patients trust Artesia General Hospital with their health emergency. With specialty certifications in advanced adult and pediatric life support and trauma care, their emergency room physicians have the experience you need when every second counts. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Learn more at artesiageneral.com/emergency.
If you need a Kubota that works and plays hard, stop looking. You'll find everything you need at Amigo Machinery. When it comes to tough Kubota tractors, mowers, construction equipment, and utility vehicles, all with low-rate financing, Amigo Machinery is your one-stop shop. We are passionately committed to providing our customers with the highest quality products, most innovative solutions, and services delivered with integrity and professionalism. Stop by Amigo Machinery in Roswell or see us online at amigo-machinery.com.
If your car breaks down, no need to cry, because there's always a pal nearby at Big O. At Big O Tires. Locally owned will get you in gear. That's because you've known us for years at Big O. Big O Tires. Don't need to sweat any extra labor. You can always trust a good neighbor at Big O. At Big O Tires. The best service is part of our code. Need a cup of sugar? We're down the road at Big O. At Big O Tires.
Hurry into your local Big O Tires now through January 29th and buy 3 tires, get 1 free on 4 select in-stock Nexen or Aspen tires with installation purchase. That's right. Buy 3, get 1 free. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation required, not valid with other offers. Eligibility may vary. Disposal fees and shop fees extra where permitted.
Happiness isn't about getting what you want all the time. It's about loving what you have and being grateful for it. Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smitherman for The Joy of Marriage.
As people, we can get so focused on what we don't have, we don't appreciate what we do have. We can make ourselves miserable, angry, and even depressed by focusing our thoughts and words on the negative. Take a look around and find something to be grateful for that your spouse does. It will change your attitude in your marriage.
1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "No matter what happens, always be thankful, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus."
Take it from me, I was such a negative person, but by renewing my mind with God's Word and learning to be thankful, it changed my life and greatly impacted my marriage.
If you have any questions or would like further information about the Joy of Marriage Ministry, please go to jomconference.com.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Alaska is the only state name that can be typed on one row of keys. Go ahead and try typing the other 49 states. We'll wait. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 8:56. Stay tuned next hour. About 9:15 or so, we'll be joined by the Friends of Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge, and we'll get an update from them, talk about some of the things they've got going on, and always looking for new volunteers to be part of Friends of Bitter Lake as well, too. Hey, we got to get these. As a matter of fact, I got to get her on the phone and get her rescheduled. Don't forget the 28th annual Mardi Gras Gala Dinner and Dance Benefit for All Saints Catholic School. It's that time of year once again. It's happening Saturday, February 18th at St. Peter's Catholic Church Gym here in Roswell. Doors will open at 6:30, and the dance and party and everything will go till 11. Enjoy delicious Cajun and American cuisine catered and cash bar catered by Pepper's Grill and Bar. Louis Nahar will be the DJ, flowing the tunes for the evening. And Ed and Kathy Cook, as always, will be there doing their photography and taking great pictures and, the Mardi Gras pics and all the fun and festivities. Of course, the evening will also include a silent auction with door prizes, the King and Queen contest, and, of course, the highly delicious and sought-after King Cake, where if you can buy a piece of cake, and if your piece of cake has a little baby in it, so just don't chow down. You got to look for the baby. Then you win prizes and things. Really cool. But 4 tickets for this year's benefit for All Saints Catholic School. You can call 575-627-5754. Again, that's 575-627-5744. Or just look for All Saints Catholic School's Facebook page, and then you can shoot a message there, and someone will get back to you. It's real. Just when you go to Facebook, in your search, type All Saints Catholic School. Probably might have to put a little NM in there, maybe, and then it'll pop right up. They also have opportunities for sponsorship. Platinum, gold, and silver table sponsorship opportunities are available too. Again, all this is a fundraising benefit for All Saints Catholic School. It's one of their major fundraisers they do each year that helps keep the school going and helps keep the kids educated and all that good stuff. It's a great program they have there. But again, the 28th annual Mardi Gras benefiting All Saints Catholic School, Saturday, February 18th. 627-5744, or look for All Saints Catholic School on Facebook for ticket information and all that good stuff too. Also, VFW Post 12184 is having their first annual charity golf tournament. That's going to be happening in May 19th. Now's the time for sponsorship information and things like that. And to sign up for information, contact Mac Dyer, 575-291-5243. Again, 575-291-5243, or Jason Burke, 575-910-1860, 575-910-1860. All right, it is closing in on 9 o'clock. Town Hall News up next. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go away.
Clyde Lewis and Ground Zero is now in Roswell on 106.5 FM, KEND Roswell.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Ukraine was hit with more Russian military strikes today, killing at least 11 people. The attacks come a day after the U.S. and Germany announced they would supply sophisticated armored tanks to the Ukrainians.
These tanks pose no offensive threat to Russia. They do pose a threat to Russian soldiers and units that are in Ukraine. They're very powerful, very capable.
White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. Secretary of State Blinken will travel to Egypt, Israel, and the West Bank this weekend. It will be his first trip to the Middle East this year. It comes amid an escalation in Israeli-Palestinian violence and just hours after an Israeli raid on suspected terrorists in the West Bank. Palestinian officials say that raid killed 9 people in the deadliest such incident this year. The 25-year-old school teacher in Newport News, Virginia, who was shot and wounded by a 6-year-old, plans to sue the school district. Her lawyer, Diane Toscano, accuses administrators of failing to act after they were warned that the boy had a gun.
The administrator downplayed the report from the teacher and the possibility of a gun, saying, and I quote, while he has little pockets. This is outrageous.
Last night, the school board voted to fire its district superintendent. He has been sharply criticized by parents and teachers since the shooting. Authorities say the 72-year-old gunman who killed 11 people in the Southern California ballroom dance hall had no known connection with the victims. Investigators are still trying to determine a motive for the massacre. Yesterday, Vice President Harris met with victims' families in Monterey Park. More at townhall.com.
Attention!
Everybody
this is a special
wants
alert
cheap
for all
airfare,
Americans who own a
but where
vehicle
do you
with less than
find it?
200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty
Their
or no
prices are
warranty
direct
coverage
from
at
the
all.
airlines,
Due to the
and they're
increase of
so
new and used
low
car
you can't
prices,
find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
Biden-Trump rematch, and correspondent Rich Thomason says it echoes the findings of an earlier survey released several months ago.
This time it's an Emerson College poll that finds Mr. Trump defeating President Biden in 2024. 44% of respondents say they would support Trump, 41% for Biden. 10% would rather back someone else, while 4% of the respondents say they are undecided. Emerson notes that since its last national survey in November, Trump's support has risen 3 percentage points, while Biden's has dropped 4. Rich Thomason reporting.
Facebook parent Meta is reinstating Donald Trump's personal account after a 2-year suspension following the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. The company said it is adding new guardrails to ensure there are no repeat offenders who violate its rules. News and analysis at townhall.com. The United Nations says the production of opium increased sharply in Myanmar, rising to a 9-year high.
The annual opium survey conducted by the United Nations shows that production in Myanmar increased sharply last year, the first growing season after the coup in 2021, which has plunged much of the country into a civil war. The UN believes rising economic hardship and insecurity is the reason, along with higher global prices for the opium resin that's used to make heroin. Since the coup, the UN has also monitored even larger increases in synthetic drug production.
That report from the BBC's Jonathan Head. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is pressing forward with efforts to further restrict abortion. In his annual State of the State speech, the Republican said he will petition for a rehearing after the state Supreme Court recently struck down the abortion ban. More at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. Let's have a listen. What does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Trace Inviernos
of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Thursday. Got a new toy to play with.
Ooh, what's that?
3D printed shark.
Nice.
The gift from...
A 3D printed shark, you say?
It is.
That's very cool.
Yep, there it is.
Salsa shark.
Yeah, salsa shark. By the way, I need to do this. Clerks 3 is available for rent, and it's been on there for about a month now.
That's true, it is.
And I have just not broken down and done it, and I don't know why.
And you're like the target demo for that.
I am. I love the Clerks movie. They're my jam.
Yeah, I was always a fan myself, but you were the target demo.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's that it gets mentioned in that '90s show. It's the girl Leia's trying to sound cool, and the guy suggests Clerks. And she goes, "Oh, I love that movie." He goes, "Yeah, Kevin Smith, right?" She goes, "Yeah, he's sexy." Like he's trying to act like he's the sexy guy for the movie or whatever. Clearly had never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it became a whole thing.
Yeah, but is Jason Mewes the sexy one?
I don't think anybody in that movie is really the sexy one.
Dante.
They're all pretty. Well, he's all right. He's all right.
No. Snowball guy.
Oh. That Berserker guy wasn't too hard on the eyes.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever watch Comic Book Men?
I checked it out like once or twice.
You know the main guy that's in that? He plays a character in Clerks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the egg guy.
Right.
In Clerks. The guy who smashes the eggs trying to find the perfect dozen. That's the dude that runs the Comic Book Men store.
See, I didn't know he ran the store. That's funny.
Yeah, he's the guy that runs it. I mean, Kevin Smith, I think, owns it. He might be a part owner. He might have a piece of it.
Right.
Kevin owns a piece, and I guess Jason Mewes owns a piece, and who knows? Probably that dude from Impractical Jokers owns a piece. For all I know.
Murr.
Q.
Oh, Q.
Q's the buddy with them.
Right.
Yeah, he's done a lot of that. Matter of fact, one of the guys that hangs out on the show, the guy with the big long beard, if you watch Comic Book Men, there's a guy that he doesn't work there. He just hangs out there.
He's just there.
And he's got a big long beard and he shows up on the podcast. He's friends with Kevin Smith and all these guys.
Is it Walt Flanagan?
Walt's the main guy. Walt's the dude with the egg.
He's the guy with the egg.
Yeah, I can't remember this guy's name off the top of my head, but him and Q are buddies and they've done things together. Matter of fact, he's shown up on Impractical Jokers. Like, one of the bits, you ever seen the bit where they do the mirror switch and they've got the Joker in like a room interviewing a person about New York City or something, and then like behind that person there's a two-way mirror that keeps flashing back, and they try to get the Joker to laugh while they're interviewing. Well, that guy showed up in one of those bits when they were doing it.
That's funny.
Like season 7 or 5 or I don't know which season, but one of them. So
That's funny. No, I've dipped a toe into that on that show.
I haven't watched it recently, but yeah, I remember checking out I remember watching like when there was nothing on TV, I'd put on Netflix and just watch like 4 or 5 episodes of Comic Book Men. Because I think it came on at like midnight on AMC or something on Sunday nights. It was on like Walking Dead night, but it was on like 2 hours after Walking Dead, so no one watched it. But anyway,
there was too big of a window.
Yeah. I guess if I didn't have a job and was 7, but. I just taped them, but I liked it because it was like Pawn Stars for comic books. Is the premise of the show? These people come in with comic books or toys and things related to comic books, and they talk price and value and everything else. And you'll see everything from like rare comic books to the G.I. Joe planes and things like that. So it's kind of the premise.
Oh, that's neat. I mean, I probably would have checked out more of it had I been, I think I had that network at the time or been on that side of the dial.
I'm not really a comic book fan because I don't read comic books and all that, but I'm a fan of the stories that come out. I watch the Marvel movies and everything, and obviously I'm a fan of the Clerks people. That was something I grew up with and loved. So I'm like, hey, if it's funny like that, I can put up with it and learn about it, and I learn about nerdy stuff too. Yeah. Occasionally something comes on there and I'm like, I had that as a kid. I should have held on to that. That makes you mad.
Right. Oh, every time. I'm just like, I wish I would have been that kid that not only just kept the toys in the box or bought 2 of everything. So you could play with one and one to keep.
I had the Death Star.
Dang. You had the actual Death Star playset?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
I had it. It's cool. It was 4 tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom tier had the trash compactor with the foam and the monster in the pit where
Right.
they fall in. And then the level above it, trapdoor, that thing. And then they had, like, the level above that was where they swing across and they have the, you know what I'm talking about, the hall, the little narrow.
Did it open like that? Like,
No, it wasn't round at all. It was a 4-stack thing. It was the innards of the.
Okay.
It wasn't the actual ball.
Right.
It was like the innards of it. So the playset had the first level was all the compactor scene. The middle level was one of the control rooms and the drop thing. The third level was the swinging across and those hollow little walls. And then the top floor was that gun and the guy with the weird shaped helmet. And you could fire the gun.
Huh.
So, and it had an elevator that goes from level to level.
That's cool.
So it was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
I imagine in the box those are probably worth $1,000 maybe.
Easily,
I don't know. I know the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, which you could buy it new in, was it 85 or whenever that thing came out, for $95.
Really?
If you find one in box today, it's worth $2,000.
Holy moly!
So
quite the increase in value.
Yeah. So I imagine the Death Star probably not $2,000, but I bet it could be near $1,000.
No, I don't know for a playset like that.
It's not as big as that.
But with that
though.
much detail, with
Yeah.
that much.
It is also older.
It's true.
That I got that thing in late 79, 70, 80, right around then. So that was before the G.I. Joe stuff. So.
True.
And I think there's more demand for Star Wars than G.I. Joe.
There's much more demand for Star Wars stuff, especially new or good condition Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. Of course, all mine was dogged and played with. And it was a pile of sticks and stuff by the time, because it had the little cardboard backing to put the walls behind it. It had a lot of parts, which I lost all of them because I was a kid that actually played with the toys.
Yeah, having kids now, I learned you're really doing yourself a disservice if you get a great many number of pieces of a toy.
Yeah,
for your child. That thing will be, a piece of it will be gone, or some semblance of it will be gone.
And I've said this before, but if there's ever a game I want to buy and bring back, it's the Dark Tower.
Yeah?
Yeah, I loved playing that as a kid.
Was that the one with the actual tower?
Yeah, it had a big tower in the middle, and you had like 4 realms, and you had to go around the realms and then go in and fight the tower. And basically, you built your army, and then each player had a section. You had to go and conquer your opponent,
right?
And then conquer the tower. And it was like this. It kind of got drawn out. Like some of those games would get the Monopoly level lengths of games and Risk level of lengths of games. But I think you can buy one if you. They go for about $300 on eBay if you find one in great shape.
Right.
But most are missing pieces or missing something. But yeah, it was one of those.
Because they're toys. They've been played with.
It was that late 80s genre where, game systems were kind of dying. Because the cartridge deal where they just flooded the market with so many games that people lost interest.
Yep.
It kind of when Atari died and before Nintendo picked it up.
Yep.
There was this.
E.T. the game.
Yeah, so there was a lot of games like Dark Tower and these board games that were electronic board games.
And I remember there was like a big trope of like sitcoms back in the day, like back in the 90s, was look, they we made a board game, and like the Home Improvement, for example, they made a Tool Time board game.
Oh yeah. Well, and even like computer games, like I had a Don and Mike radio show. They made a CD-ROM computer game.
Really?
Oh my goodness, is it bad? You watch it today, and even then it was bad. But it's really bad. It was bad in its time. It's really bad now. It's embarrassingly bad. Like, why would you ever put something out that's bad?
What kind of game is it? I mean,
it was literally like you went through mazes and they had stupid Don and Mike sayings that when you go through a door and it'd just be like, one of them doing their Jack Can't Cook impression or something. It was just. You had to be an uber fan of the show, and I was young enough and dumb enough to spend money on this thing. I think I spent $20 on this stupid game.
Right.
Sent it in the mail, and I played it for 2 minutes and was like, I'm never playing this again. It took more time to load it and put it in than to actually enjoy it.
I want to try to track that down just to see if I can find it.
It's awesome.
There's bound to be a version of it online.
Well, it's probably worth money because there's probably so few out there, I mean, it was just a DC area thing.
Right.
So, who knows?
You're looking at
Don and Mike CD-ROM games. Find that out. We got the folks from, I guess, we didn't get time to do your conversation.
Yeah, no, the moment's passed.
I saw you brought a bag.
I brought some snacks. I was going to make you choose. choose something. But I think maybe I'll save it for another day.
Okay.
We'll just put this back down here.
All right. Can you at least tell me tasty or not?
In some cases. Actually, I would say in all cases, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So well, I'll just go ahead and I was
like, I might be sick or I'm going to enjoy it.
No, here's what it is. I went to a place yesterday, picked up one of these, the one I told you about. The Violet Crumble,
okay.
Which, there's that. But I also found this, the Hammond's Chicken and Waffles candy bar.
Okay.
I'm genuinely curious about that.
Is that made with chocolate?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Milk. It's chicken and waffles, milk chocolate, and maple syrup. And then I found one of these.
Oh, you got the Warheads. That's a pickle.
It's
That's
a pickle.
Not the extreme.
It's the extreme side. No, I couldn't find they're out of the pickle bowls. But
and here's the thing. Of those, pickle in the pouch is not my thing. I don't like pickle in the pouch.
See, I love pouch pickles.
No. I just, it's not, I don't walk around with a big pickle. That's never been my thing. Can
we isolate that clip? Use it as a drop.
But I'd be curious. I am curious about that chicken and waffle candy bar.
So the challenge is going to be easy.
Okay.
Medium.
And then that
or hard.
Fuel. All right,
Cool.
we'll do it.
I'll save the pickle for social.
We'll do.
I'll pop that out as a TikTok.
We'll do. All right. Sounds good.
Save it for another day.
Off the hook for now. All right. It is 17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We're in pretty good shape through the upcoming weekend. Still cool today, but temperatures will be on a warming trend starting tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds through about midday and then sunny this afternoon. Looks like low 40s on our high. Upper teens and clear for the overnight hours. Warming into the low 50s with a sunny day coming up on Friday. Then sunshine for the weekend. We're in the upper 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 30 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 79%. Winds currently out of the north at 5 miles per hour. Partly cloudy today, gradually clearing and just becoming sunny. High of only 44, though. Winds will be out of the south at around 5 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear. Expect an overnight low of 19 degrees with southwest winds 5 to 10. Friday, sunny and 53. South winds 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, 22 for an overnight low. And then looking at the weekend, 58 and sunny for your Saturday. Northwest winds 5 to 10. Sunny and 55 on Sunday. All right, it is 19 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're going to take a 3.5-minute commercial break, and then we'll have the folks from Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge join us on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
With the hustle, bustle, and bright lights of the holidays in the rearview mirror, it's time to ease into the new year with a new car or truck from your friends at Roswell Ford. Because nobody makes car buying easier. With more than 500 pre-owned vehicles in stock and brand new units arriving all the time, finding the perfect vehicle is easy. A 3-day money-back guarantee on all pre-owned vehicles makes the decision easy. No payments for 90 days easily gives you time to put those holiday expenses behind you. And with a goal of 100% credit approval, Roswell Ford even makes financing easy, regardless of your credit situation. And we happily accept I-10s. Like I said, easy. So make some time and come see what we have for you at the Tailgate Nation. Whatever you're looking for, you can count on Roswell Ford to keep it simple and make it easy. We're waiting for you now at the corner of 9th and Main, so we're even easy to find.
Happy New Year from the Plateau family to yours. Give your whole home the gift of ultimate connectivity in 2023. For a limited time, receive a free Visa gift card when you sign up for a True Fiber Internet plan from Plateau. Up to $250 for new True Gig customers. With Plateau's True Fiber Internet, get unbelievable speed for streaming, gaming, working from home, and so much more. And for a limited time, new customers get a free Visa gift card. Learn more and sign up now at plateautel.com. plateautel.com. Offer valid only for new customers within the Roswell Fiber connected zones. Now extended through January 31st, 2023.
If your car breaks down, no need to cry, because there's always a pal nearby at Big O. At Big O Tires. Locally owned, we'll get you in gear. That's because you've known us for years at Big O. And Big O Tires. Don't need to sweat any extra labor. You can always trust a good neighbor at Big O. At Big O Tires. The best service is part of our code. Need a cup of sugar? We're down the road at Big O. At Big O Tires.
Hurry into your local Big O Tires now through January 29th and buy 3 tires, get 1 free on 4 select in-stock Nexen or Aspen tires with installation purchase. That's right. Buy 3, get 1 free. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation required, not valid with other offers. Eligibility may vary. Disposal fees and shop fees extra where permitted.
Time to reload for 2023 with LGS Guns and Ammo. Southeastern New Mexico's authority for guns and ammunition is stocked up for the new year, and that means the best selection in the state just got even better. Save big on brands you know and love like Glock, Springfield, Ruger, Mossberg, Smith & Wesson, and more. Plus huge store-wide savings on ammo, magazines, optics and knives, and pistol conversion kits 20% off. Reload for the new year with LGS Guns and Ammo. Southeastern New Mexico's authority for guns and ammo across from Target in Roswell and at lgsguns.com.
Hi, this is Melanie from Glenn's Furniture, and I want to tell you about our store-wide sale happening now. All items in every department are on sale. Upgrade your living space with power reclining sofas and love seats or beautiful sectionals with charging ports. Create ambience with amazing table and floor lamps. Get that long-awaited restful night's sleep with a new Serta mattress. Every department is on sale from our existing prices, so come down to Glenn's Furniture on the corner of Union and Alameda, where delivery is free since 1953.
Playing dance music can help ward off mosquitoes. Now you have a reason to invite Pitbull to your next pool party. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 23 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from Friends of Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge, of course, Don Weld's back with us, and Steve Smith also this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today, other than you're about to go see a doctor here? So
yeah, beautiful day today.
I bet it's even more beautiful out of Bitter Lake right now.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. So, of course, Don and Friends of Bitter Lake join us once a month here to kind of give us an update if there's events, activities, and things. But when there's no official events going on, we're talking just inviting and coming to see a part of it, always looking for more volunteers and more members to be a part of Friends of Bitter Lake here and so forth. So we definitely want to, that's why we have you guys come out each month and invite folks out here. So I know you have to go real quick, so I kind of want to give you the floor. There's a couple things you wanted to make sure we get out there, and so I kind of want to give that opportunity to you before we get you in trouble and get you charged with late fees and all that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I wanted to share with your audience this morning about the exciting life of observing birds in their natural habitat in our wonderful state of New Mexico, and especially in Chaves County and here in Roswell. We have areas that are established as what we call hotspots, and the reason they become hotspots because these are areas that have great habitat for birds, and then birds are attracted to the hotspots. And then we have a mechanism now that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. It's called ebird.org, and this is an electronic site where people that observe these birds can electronically list what their observations.
Oh, okay.
So that they can keep a historical and a record and a current record of what species they've seen.
Not to mention, I imagine, things we assumed or didn't assume about birds. You get enough people observing, you might find some new tendencies and habits of some of these species of bird.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you can't miss that, because one of the things you learn in your bird watching are characteristics of a bird so that you can help you identify a bird. And so those marks are how big the bird is, what color it is, what color its legs are, what shape and color its bill is, are the things that help you identify a bird as in the listing of many of thousands of hundreds of different birds.
Interesting.
I'd like to tell you that eBird has listed in the state of New Mexico a little over 558 birds, which that is, when you compare that species count to the national bird count for North America, 558 out of 970 some odd birds in North America. This puts New Mexico as the 5th largest bird species count in the nation.
That's impressive, because I would have never guessed that, just based on our region, the desert, much of New Mexico. I mean, yeah, we got a little bit of everything in New Mexico, but it's a lot of desert, and I would just think not always the most hospitable place for a bird to call home, not to mention 558 different species of birds.
Right. Well, they call this state the land of enchantment, and it has many different type of habitats, mountains, high desert. So as a result, you have birds migrating across our state that has many different places to find a habitat that's suitable for them as they live here and as they're passing through New Mexico during those migration periods, which start in March and goes through May. And
the pilot flying J season starts around then, where the birds come in for rest and refuel and you head back onto their path there.
That's right. Now, I'd like to specifically mention here in Travis County, where we've had a 348 species count just in our county, which is a huge count in comparison to the state count. But we have 2 hot spots here. Bitter Lake we're blessed with it out there as a National Wildlife Reserve, and then we have an inner city bird sanctuary called J. Kenneth Smith Bird Sanctuary, which is located at 401 North Sycamore in Roswell.
Okay.
Where there's been over 195 species identified just in the J. Kenneth Smith Bird Sanctuary.
That's great.
So
That's cool.
We have a listing that we keep of daily bird watching and annual bird watching of all the different birds that are seen in this J. Kenneth Smith Bird Sanctuary, as well as out at Bitter Lake.
Interesting.
And it's just amazing for people that have an interest or want to develop an interest. They're able to join up with other bird watchers of like-mindedness, like Patrick Collins is our #1 eBird lister in the Travis County, and every Thursday morning at 7:30 he meets a group at J. Kenneth Smith Bird Sanctuary. Then he's out at Bitter Lake regularly, I think, on Thursdays or Wednesdays, doing a bird count of all the birds that are there in the Bitter Lake on that given day.
I imagine, too, they're probably pretty close on the studying of Steve's got to go here, but thank you very much. That was really cool.
Thank you, Steve.
But I imagine that's also got to go with like when the migratory birds, when they're studying, okay, we had these numbers come in last year, they're less or more this year, and that could sense a pattern of the species, but maybe wind or other variables too on why those numbers are different. So I imagine there's a lot of information they can glean from counting and just tracking the tracks and the lives of these birds.
Steve was mentioning that to me. If you go to ebird.org, you can look some of that information up and see in 2019, 20, 21, 22, you can see what birds came through at that time. Then you can compare that to what you're seeing now.
Interesting. I think
it's all there. It's all the data's there.
We had to leave Steve. I wonder how many years they've been collecting this data and things. I wonder if it's
years and years.
I imagine that the way to do it has gotten a little easier as technology is advanced.
Especially since we've got the internet up now, because the things like this eBird on the internet, it's there. You can look it up. And he showed me. And if you want to talk to the local group, that's this UFO of Roswell.com. United Field Ornithologists.
Yes, I'm glad you said it. I would have butchered it.
I've been practicing. Ornithology.
Yeah, I would have chopped that all up.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not per se a birder myself. I love watching birds.
Sure. But you don't have the knowledge base that some of these individuals have.
No way. So he mentioned an app called Merlin.
Okay.
And I suppose you could look that up and get that app for your phone. It has a huge database of different bird species.
So if you're out walking the refuge or walking in the neighborhood,
and you can even tone in on the bird call.
Okay.
And it will tell you that bird is this.
So for more advanced or certain kids, it's got the Shazam aspect.
Yeah, there you go.
For people aren't familiar with that, it's like if you play a song on the radio and you play it, it'll tell you who the song and written by. This has a bird version of that. You hear the bird chirping. It's like, oh, that's a Bob White or that's a whatever. That's cool.
So these are a couple of little things that Steve has shared with me, and I love it. I don't have it now, but I'm going to start looking at it.
I think it's neat because it's just fun to kind of know your surroundings and know what's going on. And yes, some people, that's their job. This is what they do and this is their life.
Right.
But I think, as hobbyist enthusiasts, I mean, those are valuable, these folks that they just love birds and things. And they, what do they do when, retired free time? It's like, I study these birds and things. And I think it's great. You pick your passions and do it. And it's great to see these people are doing that. And to be honest, I imagine are real, really good stewards and workers for the future, survival and flourishment of these different breeds of birds and things like that.
Yeah, we need that. It's like all of our nature. We've got to keep it up. That's what Bitter Lake's all about.
That's exactly
is giving the wildlife an opportunity as they grow and.
But it's also a place of learning. I imagine,
Bitter Lake humans,
for Bitter Lake and places like it around the country. These are the places where we study and understand how animals and plant life and nature in general interacts and how it all works and why, Mother Nature is an amazing, amazing thing and far more smarter than anything we are. And it's just, and when you see its beauty and even in its scorn, it's a beautiful thing sometimes.
It is.
It's just, I would imagine when you see storms rolling in, sitting out on Bitter Lake out there watching them roll is probably a pretty beautiful sight to see.
It is.
See some of that.
Yep.
And of course, the animals are all doing their thing. You can tell real quick what's coming. Just check the animals and their activity and behavior. They'll tell you real quick what the weather's going to do.
Yeah, they seem to know long before we know. They've had 1 million years of history to get all that together.
Their sensors are more tuned into that than ours are. So
really makes it nice. Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about it. But I do want to get an opportunity because the Friends of Bitter Lake, which is the organization that you're part of, is the volunteer organization. We talk to Steve Alvarez all the time. He's kind of your park ranger of the place. He's the guy that he's the government paid employee that's there to run and conduct Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge. That's what he's there. Friends of Bitter Lake is all community members, citizens, people of the community that love and have a passion for Bitter Lake that want to help it. And so they, when they're not doing things like the Dragonfly Festival and stuff, they're doing conservation projects, they're doing various labor force projects, and not all labor force, but some of the physical, but also raising money for events, things for projects out there. If you go out to Bitter Lake and you go, which you should do, visit the store out there, and every time you purchase T-shirts and books and things like that, you're helping Friends of Bitter Lake, which is in turn putting that money back into projects and the resources out at Bitter Lake.
That's our whole purpose, is to provide funds and labor for certain projects. We're going to be in March. We're going to be doing our annual cleanup of the butterfly trail.
Okay.
We go through, we clean up all the weeds and garbage and junk and plant some butterfly plants. To
encourage the next batch to come in.
The butterflies to come in and lay their eggs and continue that species. And to beautify it, to get it ready for summer.
If you ever go back in our annals and go back and look at some of our other previous conversations with Don and the Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge folks, we've had some great conversations about those butterflies and the migratory, the monarchs, and the role that Bitter Lake plays in that, and just it's a little different than birds. The birds are going north to south, but the butterflies, it's like our generation is to go to point X, and then prepare the next generation to get to the next. So it's much more than one single bird going from point A to point B. It's a generation of species moving from point A to point B, but a lifespan is just getting it from one section of point A to point B.
Isn't that amazing? The DNA of a butterfly tells it, okay, you were here, now you got to go down. Your generation goes down to here. Yeah. The next generation goes on, and they wind up in Mexico someplace. Yeah. And then they start to travel back.
Yeah.
It's generational.
I would imagine from the outside looking, it's like, why is that how they're set up? But I imagine if you do a little studying and things, it makes complete sense on why that they do and what they do that way and things. It's like, for me, I'm thinking, I'm a butterfly. I'm like, hey, this place looks pretty nice. Let's just hang out here. Yeah. I'm only going to be alive a month or two anyway.
Sip a little nectar and lay a few eggs and keep on going.
Yeah, exactly. But that's Bitter Lake. That's where
that's what it's for. Yep.
And I'm going to tell you that there are perks to being a friend of Bitter Lake. You get to experience, if you love the outdoors, love nature, and you love doing this stuff, you get to experience and see parts of Bitter Lake that, let's face it, the general public normally doesn't get access to. That's because it is a wildlife refuge and preserving. Maybe during some of the Dragonfly Festival, Butterfly, the tours that happen there, you might get to see some parts of this, but there's other parts where they don't allow visitors to go to because we don't want the ecosystem to get messed with, or it's some other reason. Because and this is the other aspect. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but we talk about Bitter Lake Wildlife Refuge and the natural and the resources and the ecosystem and all that. It's also a study in human history as well with the Native Americans and the hunting trail. So there's just as much research about us going on out there as there is about wildlife and plant life. And that's
they
what
used to do buffalo hunting out on the east side of that cliff out
that
there.
was their they lure them in there and basically use it as a trap, so to speak.
Trap them in there so they could get a better shot at them.
Yeah.
One thing, this Saturday we have our members meeting.
Okay.
Those Bitter Lake members, or Friends of Bitter Lake members, we're having our meeting at noon. Come out. We're gonna have a little buffet lunch. Bring a side dish. We'll provide the meat dish.
Okay.
Which this time it's gonna be chicken.
Nice.
But it all tastes like chicken. But so bring a little side dish. If you're not a member and you would like to join Friends of Bitter Lake, come on out. Yeah. For a single person, it's $10.
Okay.
And it goes up by family and such from there, $50 and so on. So it's not expensive, but you can come out, you can join right then and enjoy the potluck.
And meet all the other members.
At that time. So remember, that's this Saturday at noon.
And we're supposed to be in the mid-50s by then. So, so a light jacket will probably get you by out there. By
should be comfortable,
there, so. And it doesn't look too windy, which will be a blessing too.
So remember that. Keep that on your list. And we're always looking for new members. We need new members. We need board members.
Sure.
We need a group that runs the whole thing.
And even if you're, you want to serve, but maybe I don't have the back to go do the service project stuff.
That's right.
There's lots of other venues that we can use your services that have nothing to do with you getting your hands dirty.
Yep. And you can talk to Steve Alvarez again. He's the community coordinator, and he's always looking for volunteers to help out around there. And they don't have to be, like you said, manual labor type things.
Gotcha.
We need people to be able to man the bookstore.
Gotcha.
To man that nature store.
So if you can just hang out a few hours a week or something there and volunteer your time there, that would be a great asset to the
our nature store manager right now, Jana Bush, is just overwhelmed. We do have some RVers who help out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
nice.
But we still
she wants her life too and not living out at the store all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
So if someone can split some shifts with her, she would be very happy.
That would really be appreciated. So,
yeah. And it's a lot of fun. Again, you get to be a part of it. And by the way, if you haven't been to the gift shop, there's a lot of great gift ideas and personal, it's not all, a lot of great learning resources, but if you're looking for, trinkets and remembrances of New Mexico in this area, and you've got people on your gift list for that, or you want keepsakes for yourself, you'll find all of that out there too. So.
Birthday presents?
Yeah, they got everything.
Christmas presents,
toys, educational toys for the kids, to books for the parents. We got everything.
It's quite a deal. So keep that in mind.
And don't forget to bring your families out there and come see what. Now, again, as I remind you every time, it is not Bottomless Lake State Park. It is not a place to swim and boat and do all the fun things you do out at that park. This park is that wildlife refuge. If you want to come and walk the trails, hike, enjoy nature from a viewing perspective and not a person of getting actually in there, and because we don't want you off the trails. We're not going to let you come and do some of the boating and camping things that you would do out. But if you want to walk the trails, hike, scouts looking for projects and things, there's lots of stuff. If you're looking to meet requirements for some merit badges and things, there's a lot of great places for scouts to do that kind of thing. It's really, and then of course, if you want to see nature in action, you want to show your kids wildlife in action, and not even at a zoo where you're seeing these birds. This time of year, I imagine pretty soon here you start seeing birds coming from the south back this way.
They will.
If you're not, I mentioned we're a little early now, but give it a couple month or two here. I imagine they're going to start showing up.
Pretty much in March, all of the cranes that have been down in the Gulf area will start coming through, making their stops, and then everybody moving on up north.
So pick a day or two around that time to try to hang out. And unfortunately, just a tip that we've learned over the years, animals for some reason they don't want to abide by your schedule.
No,
they kind of have their own schedule. So if you want to see the most activity, generally early or late.
Mornings.
Early mornings is when they're out hunting and doing their thing, so that's a good time. And then at night when they're doing, kind of during the day or during the night, they're kind of hunkered down doing their thing. But if you catch them at those time transitions, that's when a lot of their out and about activities take place.
There at the refuge.
Yeah, exactly. So come, kind of see like you said, like here in a month or two, come and watch the cranes and the other migratory birds come and pick their camping spots for while they rest up and get ready for their journey back north. So.
As they're flying through, they will stop for a day or two. They got to refuel.
That's why we joke about the pilot flying J. That's why.
They get their refueling, and then they move on north to the next spot.
I always wonder, do they have some kind of internal... all right, so the cranes, we know we got this section of the lake here, but you sparrows or whatever's next, you guys get to hang. I mean, I wonder if they kind of have their own pecking order on where they park and where they hang out.
I think it's based on their needs.
Yeah, I'm wondering, how does that happen?
The sparrows, the smaller birds and such like to get in where the trees are.
Sure.
Because they can get up in those trees, they feel safer. And they can find the little bugs and things that they want to eat.
Gotcha.
And
so it's
the
just
seeds and such.
So it's just to them which more appealing ground.
Yeah.
The cranes are looking for a certain thing. They're probably looking for fish and things.
They are. They go out and they'll go out in the fields around here and eat the insects. Some of the leftover grain on the ground or something like that.
Okay.
They're not out there to damage any crops.
They don't need that.
They're not there for that.
They're not like the crows coming in and eating all the corn and all that.
That's right. Yeah. More than anything, they're helping because they're getting rid of some of the insects that may be detrimental.
Think of it as God's pest inspectors or pest.
There you go, pest control.
Yeah, God's pest control. That's kind of what I see it.
Yeah, it works out that way.
Yeah, so
we got
New Mexico's got a fine quality selection of bugs for them to eat. So that's their. But here's the other battle too that we have. It's not just the animal life, but plant life out too. That's the other real struggle that the Bitter Lake friends and Steve and all the staff do is they really strive to keep all the plant life and vegetation within the Bitter Lake Refuge native to New Mexico. And there's a lot of foreign plants and things that are in our area that are now called home that aren't really native. And so there's kind of a constant battle of keeping that hardy vegetation from taking over the refuge, because this vegetation, not native, is very hardy, and it'll crowd out less hardy but more indigenous plant life.
Most of our biggest concern in recent years has been the salt cedars. They drink a lot of water.
We don't have a lot of water.
Where's my water?
You should be in a different part.
Yeah. So they were planted for a purpose, but that purpose was ill-conceived.
Sure.
And
not all ideas are good ones sometimes.
That's right. So now we're trying to get rid of them. They did the same. And same thing happens over at Bosque del Apache. They've gotten rid of a lot of the salt cedar, and at Civieta. These are refuges on the other side of the mountain from along the Rio Grande area, and they've had that same problem. And they get their bird traffic through there too. So
the western route and the southern, eastern route.
You get all these different routes, and they funnel because you won't see them flying over high mountains.
The elevation, I imagine the air's too thin, and I imagine they hit some issues. So they're trying to hit the valleys.
The little channels between those, those. And
just like you when you're driving on the interstate, those interstates sometimes they cut through the mountains, sometimes they go around the mountains. It's the same concept.
Same idea.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of this is cool, because you realize nature has so many patterns and things, and we hear the term creature of habit. You don't realize how much nature is a creature of habit. All of it's a creature of habit. But in the same token, you also see how we are in our ways, because we're big animals too, us humans. And so you see our tendencies, and you see, even some of our DNA coding, and it's right there in the same with these animals and some of the instinctual things. Why do humans do certain things? It's because that's how instinctually we were built.
That's right.
And it's no different with these birds and with these other animals and plant life for that matter too.
We have a little different DNA in that we train our youth. We train our next generation. We teach them. Birds, a lot of animals, not all, but a lot of animals, it's instinctive. It's passed down in their DNA.
Okay.
What to do and how to do it.
They got the recipe for the instructions just kind of built in there.
All the instructions are built in when they're born. But
kind of like breathing and things for us, where we don't teach your kids to breathe. They kind of come. Same with the hunting and stuff for these animals. It's kind of it's part of the that's it. And it's in my opinion, God's plan, but others might think differently. It's like they knew when these animals were designed, hey, when they come out first born or hatched or whatever, that they're going to need these tools to survive. And so they've kind of instilled, that's the amazing thing of Mother Nature is hey, they nailed this one and got it smart.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's how they survive. That's how the species is regenerated.
Yeah.
Because it learned through years and years, millions of years of doing those things, and that's how it's learned to survive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So they pass that on in their DNA,
and that's why Bitter Lake's cool for everybody. If you want to come
and see it,
and anytime there's these special little talks or sessions, or all the time on weekends or something, there'll be a photographer or maybe the bird group or somebody. They might have an event out there, and they love to talk to people and tour and see some of the stuff, and they can kind of give you a more specialized tour of some of the things that are out there at Bitter Lake.
That's
right. So please, by becoming a friend or just liking and follow Bitter Lake on Facebook and checking out the website, you can stay up to date on all the activities and things. So if there's you got family in town, it's hey, let's see what's going on at Bitter Lake. Maybe there's an event we can bring everybody out to, or the weather's just nice. It's a good weekend to walk and hike some of the trails and see some of the plant life and wildlife out there.
Yep.
And
come on out.
Bring good walking shoes and lots of water. That's our two recommendations.
That's right. Even during the winter, bring your water because you'll dehydrate.
Yeah, and sunscreen too, because a lot of sun, even when it's cold and not
cloudy and overcast can be some of the worst.
Yeah, you get burnt real good.
You do. So keep that all in mind.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Is there anything we missed, Don? Did we get it all? Friendsofbitterlake.org is the website to learn more. Again, friendsofbitterlake.org. Go there. And then what's the store hours if you want to go out and do a little shopping at the Bitter Lake store?
We're now open from Monday through Saturday, and we're open from 9 to 5.
Okay. So come on out 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. And again, if you'd like to volunteer, give some
come
people
out and see Steve.
Give some people a break at the store there so they can go and live their lives too.
Yep. Steve will be more than happy to look for new volunteers.
Yeah, talk to Steve. Steve's your kind of he's your source for he's the guy that runs the show out there, and
I call him community interface.
There you go.
So
In my head, I just picture the Yogi Bear and Ranger, Park Ranger.
There you go.
That's when I think of Steve. I think of the Park Ranger.
Steve
from
would make
Bear.
a good Yogi Bear.
I think so. He's smarter than the average bear. He is smarter than the average bear.
Yes, he is. There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Don, as always, and we'll see you next time, if not sooner.
Yep.
So, good
Next
deal.
month, and we'll talk more about Butterfly Trail.
And tell
cleanup.
Steve thank you for. I didn't mean to mess him up with his time a little bit, but maybe we can get him back too. I'm sure he's got a lot more to tell us.
I would like to have him come back again when we can do that. Get the whole.
He can pardon the
thing.
joke, but he can give us the bird.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Sounds good.
Thank you, Don. It is 9:51. Let's pause for news. Sean Hannity, your legislative update as well too coming up. Don't go away.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. Some tense moments Wednesday at Yeso Elementary School where an active police situation unfolded. The district sending a note to parents explaining the situation actually happened a couple of blocks from the school building, but the facility was locked down as a precaution. The district asking parents who were waiting to pick up their kids to move. Police later said the school district transferred all the students to Faith Baptist Church on 20th Street, where parents could pick their kids up. At this time, police have not explained exactly what happened at the home near 18th and West Clayton Street. New Mexico producers should be on the lookout for the Census of Agriculture. During the last week of 2022, the U.S. Department of Agriculture mailed out the 22 Census of Agriculture to all known producers across New Mexico and the rest of the country, with ag being the second largest industry in the state. The state says it is crucial for producers to complete their census to better the industry for the future for everyone. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
National debt is now the highest since World War II and forecast to break that record soon. In 2022, last year alone, it hit 98% of our gross domestic product. Now, by the way, and Betsy McCoy, she's a great researcher. She points out that the United States is in the company of countries and nations like Mozambique, Angola, Portugal, Greece. Do we really want our kids? Do we really want to rob them blind by spending ourselves into oblivion? You know, over the last 50 years, the debt to GDP ratio has averaged 46%. We're at now over double that. And Joe Biden just keeps adding to it.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
My friend had his home stolen. The crime is home title theft. It's real. It's horrendous, but it's real, and it's everywhere. Now, luckily, this was just a demo, but I saw how criminals all around the world target American homeowners, and that's why I protect my home with Home Title Lock, and you need to as well. And a thief can simply forge your signature on a legal document claiming you sold your home to them. Homeowners insurance and common identity theft programs do not protect you, but Home Title Lock does. So protect yourself. Just go to their website. It's hometitlelock.com/Sean, SEAN. Verify your home's title is still safely in your name. Then just register your address for a free, no obligation home title report for your files. That is a $100 value, absolutely free. That's hometitlelock.com/Sean, hometitlelock.com/Sean, SEAN.
This is Jason Espinoza with today's Capital Report. According to the last report on the National Center for Educational Statistics, 94% of all public school teachers in the United States have spent their own money on classroom supplies without reimbursement. A legislative proposal introduced by Senator Craig Brandt seeks to provide a bit of financial relief to public school teachers. His proposal would create an income tax deduction for school supplies purchased by public school teachers of up to $500 in tax year 23 and up to $1,000 in tax year 2024. The proposal stipulates that the school supplies, such as notebooks, paper, writing instruments, crayons, art supplies, rulers, maps, and globes, must be used for educational uses in the teacher's own classroom and by the teacher's own students. According to an analysis of the bill by the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department, Approximately 20,539 teachers may be eligible to claim the deduction. The analysis shows that the proposal has the potential to save public school teachers a combined $320,000 in fiscal year 24 and a combined $640,000 in fiscal year 25. The legislation is scheduled to be heard this week in the Senate Tax, Business, and Transportation Committee. For the New Mexico News Network, I'm Jason Espinoza.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We're in pretty good shape through the upcoming weekend. Still cool today, but temperatures will be on a warming trend starting tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds through about midday and then sunny this afternoon. Looks like low 40s on our high. Upper teens and clear for the overnight hours. Warming into the low 50s with a sunny day coming up on Friday. Then sunshine for the weekend. We're in the upper 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Greg Clugston. We learned this morning the U.S. economy expanded at a 2.9% annual rate from October through December.
The economy ended 2022 with momentum despite the pressure of high interest rates and widespread fears of a looming recession. The Commerce Department estimates show that the nation's gross domestic product accelerated last quarter from the 3.2% annual growth rate it had posted from July through September. Most economists think the economy will slow further in the current quarter and slide into at least a mild recession by mid-year.
That's correspondent Jeremy House reporting. The federal government is investigating whether Southwest Airlines knowingly scheduled more flights than it could handle in December. That's when it canceled nearly 17,000 flights. Today, Southwest announced a loss in last year's fourth quarter financial earnings. I'm Greg Clugston.
This is the owner of Trustmark Roofing, and nothing makes us happier than telling our customers no. As in, no pricing games. We give you a guaranteed price, and then we stand by it. No surprises, no gotchas. No obscurity. We don't just tell you what's wrong with your roof. We record our inspections and show you. No lemons. We install premium roofing materials from top brands like Owens Corning. No shortcuts. We're in the 2% of roofers with the Owens Corning Preferred Contractor Certificate for our local area. This means we offer precision installation and the longest warranties. Want a beautiful new roof that's built to last? Choose Trustmark Roofing, the roofer that loves to tell our customers no. For an estimate, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Today we're going to give you the 5th key to a great marriage, taken from Drs. Les and Leslie Perot. Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smotherman for The Joy of Marriage. The 5th key is commitment, living the love you promised.
Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not get tired of doing what is right, for after a while we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't get discouraged and give up." You know, one of the keys to commitment is just deciding in your heart, I'm never giving up on God, I'm never giving up on my marriage, I'm never giving up on my family.
Commitment is a promise made and kept by two imperfect people. It's good for our kids to see that problems happen and we're committed to solving them together.
If you want all 5 keys to a great marriage, you can go to our website at jomconference.com.
Bill Cunningham is now in Roswell on 106.5 FM KEND Roswell.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Correspondent Jennifer King reports that the U.S. economy ended 2022 with momentum.
The government's latest GDP estimate found the economy grew at 2.9% from October to December, with an annual rate of 2.1% for all of 2022. The resilience of the U.S. job market has been a major surprise. Economists believe the Fed's intention to slow the economy to fight inflation means the good times for America's workers aren't likely to last, and a series of big layoffs in the tech industry suggests employers may share that opinion.
And fewer Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week, as the labor market remains tight, even as the Federal Reserve has tried to cool the economy and inflation by raising interest rates. Applications for jobless aid in the U.S. for the week ending January 21st fell by 6,000.